No idea.
What's up, guys?
Oh my god.
What's up, you guys? All right, so League of Legends is currently starting back, and I've been catching up on some LPL, and just saying, Morgan is actually really good on Team World Elite. That guy is underrated. He's really good, actually. So, just wanted to say that, because I know Abigail, she said, do you guys watch World Elite games? I was like, not really. I think they're kind of bad. And then,
Who thinks they're bad?
World League's... You don't think World League's bad? I thought
They
World
literally made the playoffs on top of the fact that they have one of the youngest teams in the LPL. Of course, they're not bad. No, they're a pretty solid team, dude.
I don't know. They're probably just about as bad as LGD.
That's not even, that is ridiculous. You're insane.
I don't think they were that good. They were good if I don't know. I don't think they were insane.
Extremely solid on top of the fact that this team just got together, dude. I mean, they're young. All this stuff. I don't know what you want from a team up and coming.
They just got together. Whoa, gosh. What kind of teams in esports are you building?
Wow. The only way it could happen is by sex, huh? Is that what you're saying? There we go.
Oh, my God. And then let me kind of share the stream really quickly, and then we'll be ready to go, actually. So, yeah. How was your day, Mr. Connoisseur? You existed.
I don't know what that means. Connoisseur.
How? I don't know. That sounded cool to say in a movie. You may be a cool guy.
Usually when they say connoisseur, it's because there's something that actually kind of makes sense when they say it.
My lord. Oh my goodness. They will. Yeah, it's okay. We're gonna be doing our LEC power rankings in just a moment, guys. I'm gonna just right now. Yeah, because I'm not going to have time to do my LEC power rankings at all. I have them here. I already have mine ready. I already have them done. I have my LCS power rankings that I'm doing individually. I let the podcast guys do their own because that's mostly just for them. I have my own power ranking that I'll do in a video tomorrow. I'll record it, actually. So that's what I'll be doing tomorrow, and I have one other video to do. I'm all caught up in videos, so it's perfectly okay. But, yeah, she mentioned Piglet in the video. It was mentioned in the video somewhere. You guys will be watching. Just a little bit of a little what's that word? A little Easter egg. That's what they call them in movies. A little Easter egg right there for you. Piglet is mentioned in the
video. If she trash talked him, I don't want to hear. I don't even want to watch that.
Oh my god. We had a great conversation. As you guys know, my special video with someone who is in the scene comes out tomorrow. I don't know when it's scheduled, honestly. It'll be out, I think, 10 a.m. PST, I think. That's what I think it'll be out. Stay on this page, leave this page. Let me glow and advertise the stream, and then we'll be talking in just a moment. We are doing the LEC 2020 Summer Split Power Rankings, and if you do not have G2 in first place, you either don't watch the LEC or you are a Fnatic fanboy. That's pretty much how it goes. That's pretty much how that goes, guys. Let's go. Why is it not working? Paste. Come say hi. So I have this. G2 could easily win 4 splits again because they've won 4 splits before between 2016 spring to what? 2018. Not 2018. They won everything from 2016 to the end of 2017, and they have now a chance to win 4 titles again. Like, they're literally just that insane. It's two different eras too for G2. 2 different eras, you know. So you had the Trick era for G2, and you had the Jankos era for G2, which is actually insane that they are able to be this good and actually build a roster around perks. And it's just like, I don't know, I don't think they are going to be losing anytime soon right now, but that's just me.
I mean, let's be real. Building a team around a superstar is like an easy foundation at the very least. I mean, it's not only just the team. They've always had superstars on this team ever since they first got into the league, I think. I mean, they've never tell me when
Emperor wasn't considered a superstar, though.
I'm not saying every single position.
Trick wasn't considered a superstar. Neither was Kikis. Neither was Hybrid.
Trick was most definitely considered a superstar. I don't know what you're talking about.
Wasn't he a backup on CJ Intis, right?
Yeah, back then. But I'm talking about specifically on G2. He was like one of the best players in the league, not just specifically that.
What else split did they have? They had Sven and Mithy. They were winning a bunch of titles with them. They won like 3 in a row with them. That's crazy. Like, they're literally gonna win 4 different splits from 2 different eras of EU. That's just mind blowing. And if they win this split, they'll have more titles than Fnatic, because the title record I think is 7. They're tied right now. If G2 win this title, it'll be 8 titles. That's just the ultimate EU dynasty. The G2 army will infect the world and will all be ruled under Ocelot. That's a copy pasta for. If you guys don't know what that is, that's a Facebook Reddit meme about like.
You say pasta?
Copy pasta? Is that what they call them?
It's copy. Do you know how to say pasta?
Is that what it's called? Copy pasta?
It's literally pasta.
Oh, okay.
People like to say, "Where's the sauce?" and that's where it comes from.
See, there you go. That's why I have you here. Otherwise, I'd be what's that word? I'd be a crazy dude. All right, so let me post this on my Twitter. If you guys are not following my Twitter, then please follow it. I'm gonna link my Instagram and Twitter at the end of in the description box below. From now on, I just been forgetting. Ryan, it's copy pasta. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you.
He literally didn't. It's in words. How do you know how he's pronouncing it?
Oh my god.
Every time I look at your screen, something's shooting up gigantically on it.
Oh, you can highlight their comments to make them feel good.
I understand this, but are you doing it every single time a message comes through?
I do it more on my other channel. Holy crap. People send so many messages. Holy crap. It's to highlight it so everyone who's in the stream gets to see their comment, because like usually sometimes reading it is like really small. But yeah, let's go. Okay, so did you do your rank? What? Oh, I brought this up. I almost forgot. I almost actually forgot. So the last time we streamed, someone had a comment for you, Mr. Buffly Studman Sexy Dude, Mr. I know everything about League in general. He says, at 1 hour and 58 minutes in and 42 seconds, really, if everyone of Fnatic was on the same level as Nemesis, they would be able to compete with G2. What have you been smoking? Nemesis is at best ranked 6th of the mids in EU.
I mean, 6th? You can make arguments for a few people, but first off, I can already tell you a few of the mid laners he's putting ahead, which is Nukeduck, and the reason I don't put Nukeduck ahead is the fact that, first of all, he falls off the face of the earth past mid-game. Like, not even past mid-game, he literally, once he gets post-laning phase, he becomes literally
useless.
Becomes the third carry on the team. He's not able to transition past early game, and that's why I can't put him above. You got Mickey, you got, like, I don't see these.
I thought Mickey was better than.
No. I'm just thinking about the mid laners in EU, and like, what 5 mid laners would you put ahead of like I can't think of any. Shadow, I mean, Shadow's pretty solid. I'm not gonna deny that, but I don't think
Shadow. And Shadow jungler?
No, not Shadow. Stupid humanoid.
Humanoid played like crap.
You got. I don't know why Shadow popped in my head, and I thought he was a mid laner. I was like, that guy's good. But again, I think the problem with it is I can't think of 5 mid laners that are better than him. Can you think of 5 mid laners? There's Abadage. There's
Abadage play. I don't even want to. No. Abadage garbage.
There's
only people put in the conversation is like Nukeduck and Febivin.
There's Febivin. Yeah. There's I can make an argument for Febivin. I can make an argument.
Yeah, he actually played pretty well this split. I'll give him that. Larson. Larson was pretty decent.
Larson's pretty solid. Okay, so there's 3 arguable ones at the very least. I think you can, and the reason I think at the very least I would say he's 4th place. But my big thing about it is I don't think I could put Nukeduck ahead of him just purely based off the fact that his transitional phase into late game, or just even mid game, honestly. And that's
Nukeduck is like the definition of overrated. Like not like overrated. No. He's not. People are gonna take that out of context. I'm not saying he's a bad overrated. He's an overrated that people make seem like he's some god tier mid when he's better than Bjergsen. If Bjergsen is an 8, Nukeduck is if Bjergsen was a 7, Nukeduck is a 9.
I don't think he's that much better.
I don't think he's not a bad overrated, because people make overrated like it's a bad thing. No. I'm saying he's overrated by how people talk about him and how people perceive him. Because to me, he's always a player who gets the resources in draft, and I don't really ever see him like take over a game like Person Caps, Nemesis, where they're like 1v9.
Games he has definitely done it. The problem is,
but they're definitely fewer than Caps, Perks, Nemesis.
Well, the reason
Jizuke,
for that is-
Jizuke's carried more. Jizuke's carried more games than him.
Jizuke's doesn't exist in this world right now. He's an enemy. So my big thing about it, I don't know about the Jizuke thing recently. I mean, Jizuke has had at the very end of the summer split. I agree, but like for the most part, not recently. Like an entire year, he was probably worse in every aspect than Nuke Nuke Duck has definitely had a lot of carry games, and his playstyle is pretty much like based off the fact that first of all, he always gets the counter picks. If we think about the previous years when he got the gigantic counter pick of Vayne mid against they specifically picked Vayne mid into Galio's like. That is not a good mid lane pick, but it works out perfectly for Galio, and they centralize their comp around it. Like they'll prioritize picks for him, which is one reason I don't think it's great. On top of the fact that his whole play style revolves around getting a big enough lead around the early game to be able to transition that into team fighting as well as most of the other mid laners can do. I'm like, again, I could see a reason. I mean, maybe if it's all Nemesis's, again, I don't think. It's hard to say. I mean, because Nemesis is a great mid laner. The guy who said that probably was over exaggerating because there's so many good mid laners in EU that he's trying to say that he's not good, which is kind of crazy to me. I mean,
I don't think I've never seen people shit on Nemesis. That's my thing. I've never seen people like really say he's bad.
No, I mean Nemesis is pretty extreme.
He's actually pretty good. Yeah, I think Fnatic, like, you know how, because Thorin made that comment where he was like, Nemesis will go down as the worst mid in Fnatic. To be fair to Nemesis's point, he is playing in Fnatic when G2 is literally the best team.
Okay, so let's point out, is he talking about results oriented? Because I mean, I'm trying to think of all the mid laners in Fnatic has had. Obviously, they've had
Shueisha, Xpeke, Febevin, Caps. All of them at some point were considered the best mid in EU.
I mean, Shueisha's prime was a lot smaller. Obviously, he
but
seen this long.
Even by everything you hear, though, he was considered the best mid. Xpeke was considered the best mid for a very long time. Caps was easily the best mid when he was on Fnatic.
I didn't talk to Shueisha because I didn't watch enough of EU back then, or just League in general.
Febevin was really good.
Febevin was extremely solid. I agree. I mean, Nemesis just has a little bit of high tier mid laners to play. Nemesis, the only time he played on Fnatic, in my opinion, was when he was extremely solid. He left, and that's when the downfall, like his really not as good play, usually kicked in. I don't think it's insulting to be considered one of the worst mid laners for Fnatic because that's one of the most of the best mid lane players of all time are the mid laners of Fnatic. Like if you look at Xpeke, Caps. What was the original roster for Fnatic? Shueisha, they had Yellowstar ADC, they had
Fnatic just makes really great teams. It's sometimes they fall short and people are always quick to like downplay them. So I wouldn't say like Fnatic has a thing about picking up talent. I think their problem is they lose to themselves. That's how I always see Fnatic. They just lose to themselves. I don't see how they can lose themselves this much, but they lose to themselves.
Yellowstar was the ADC for the other team that faced them, right?
No, I thought you meant eventually he was on Fnatic though.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember No, he's talking about their season 1 team. It was Cyanide, Xpeke.
Even Cyanide was considered pretty good at some point.
I honestly, I'm gonna be real. I don't remember the bot lane. I don't know who they are. Like I don't remember them by name, and he's not popping into my head. Maybe if I heard their names, I'd be able to tell you, but for the most part, I can't. I don't know.
So let's go and let's see what else we can talk about. Because a lot of stuff we're going to talk about tonight, guys. Power rankings are always super, super fun. Because you can either be really right like me all the time, or you could be like JTH or Buff Studman or whatever you want to be called nowadays.
What is my name now? Is it Super Buff something?
Something. Your name is just a something stud man.
So, I mean, it's going to be hard for me to, like, first of all, I didn't know we were doing power rankings, so I haven't even done them yet. So this is all on the spot. It's going to be...
Well, you have literally 5 teams competing for 10th.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit hard for me, but I think I have a pretty solid idea of where everybody's, like, the first 2, in my opinion, are pretty solidified.
The first three should be solidified.
I don't think...
Just being honest.
Oh,
no. I know what he's going to do.
You already keep saying Origin, and I'm not putting them up there. I'm sorry. I'm not putting them for 3.
All right, hold on. Talk to them for just a second. I have to get a drink.
What is Vitality has been terrible for like 7 seasons, man. They were good that one season they went to Worlds, and then like they had a lot of solid splits after that, but never like actually like one of the competing teams. I mean, I don't know. I don't think they were ever. It's not really surprising that they're bad because
they've always been bad. Like they had remember how they had they came into ELCS in 2016 spring. They had Nuke Duck, Yarnin, and Kasing. They actually made playoffs. After that, they were complete trash up until like they got the Jizuke roster. Then after that one lucky year where they went to Worlds and they lost to C9 twice, they were shit the next year. And won't be told they're gonna shit it.
Words.
I'm just saying, they're shit again. I'm just saying they've never been good. Like they've never ever.
I don't want to say they've never been good again. They had pretty solid teams. It's not just 1 year. I mean, they've had solid teams. You're comparing badness of always being bad, like SK Gaming. SK Gaming, the entire tenure they've been in the LCS. I'm not talking about their previous teams because that doesn't matter. That's not the same organization. Their entire situation ever since they came into the LCS. They've had some solid teams. They just have never been elite, and that's the big thing. I think
they're like the CLG, right? They always have good enough players, but not the best.
I don't think that's considered CLG this year, but
oh yeah,
I think like Vitality, they've had strong players. I think when they had what was his name last year?
Jizuke?
No, I mean they've had Cabochard, and I think they've had elite
Cabochard. Why do you saying Jizuke? Oh my god, I'm sorry.
They've had because Jizuka was on the team last year. I think they've had elite play like Jizuka and Cabochard last year in the spring split. I think that was an extremely good duo until Jizuka fell off the planet with
We actually had Cabochard as our MVP over Caps. Now that's crazy.
It's not.
I didn't think
crazy.
I mean, Caps is amazing, and it's like who'd have thought? Like I was pleasantly surprised by how good Cabochard played. Like he played really well. I thought he was super underrated, and no one will ever know how good a split he had because people just think that Caps was just the best mid. I mean, he was the best player, but Cabochard had a really great split too.
I mean, if you want to talk about what's hyped about Origin, I think realistically, it's because if you don't just go based off of most things, they did look like the third best team last split. I mean, I think it was pretty easy to see that. But like if you compare the difference between first and second place, and then compare the difference between second place, the
EU is so weird.
I'm just saying that the difference between Fnatic and the third place team is gigantic. The difference between Origin last split and like maybe Mad Lions last split was not very big. It was not very big in comparison. I think the few teams that did make changes, I think Misfits it has a young team that's kind of growing into being a team together, and they're all pretty much new to the scene. And replacing their weakest player in Bavoy with Kabe, I think is probably the biggest play. Is the reason I think that's one of the bigger trends from last split. I mean, I don't know if that's going to make the difference. Again, it's not like the most impactful role in the league is ADC right now, but still, I think it makes a significant difference to the point where I might consider putting them up there. A worse roster than last split, where they had the worst roster already. I mean, they had like points. Their play style last split or last year was self-made, was probably one of the best junglers, if not the best in the league. Probably not the best. I think Yankos was, but again, it's just their ability to play around such a dynamically, kind of shifting the way you have to play around them kind of jungler. And then on top of the fact that every once in a while, Crown Shot would be pretty decent. Like Crown Shot's inconsistent, but his good games are pretty decent. And you had two people those games you could play around two people. Now with Crown Shot is pretty much, in my opinion, I mean, he's not a great player. He's not a terrible player. But now at this point in time, SK Gaming doesn't really Sakura disappointed. I expected a little bit more from him this
I did too. He had a few good games.
He looked good last year. And he looked good last year. I thought I expected something coming into this year with him, and he just
That's so funny.
It's not funny. I feel bad.
How did SK actually manage to get a worse roster than last split, where they had the worst roster?
They got a worse roster because they replaced one of the best players in the league with Trick. Like that's just what it is.
Or Selfmade wanted to go to Fnatic because he already played with Nemesis.
It's still replaced. He's still gone. I didn't say him. He's just gone. He's not on the team anymore. They had to replace him with somebody who's significantly worse. ULCS does not have relegations because it just doesn't exist anymore. I don't like relegations. In my opinion, I really don't think they're a great idea. It really does. It's exciting to see a team come from the Challengers team make changes, but at the same time, it does hamper how much these lower teams are willing to make changes in the roster because they have to risk getting kicked out or something. it benefits maybe kind of shifting the meta to an extent, and that's something I could say I like about it. But at the same time, it hampers how divisive the top teams and the bottom teams are. The difference between them.
Imagine going from Pyrian to Trick.
Daisy after Double Spring split in. Oh yeah, yeah. Gen X is top now. Huh?
Gen X is top, and their head coach is Jez.
I mean, Jez. I don't care about Jez. Why do you keep putting up Jez? Like that's the first thing you always point out about SK Gaming is Jez, and I don't care.
That's the only thing good about them because that roster
not good about them, obviously, because their grafting phase is not good. I don't know why that would be good. Why is that good? Why is that a good thing? Because obviously
he can take his prime Misfits drafting where Misfits Super Team was the best team in the LEC, and he can take it to SK Gaming and make them the best team in the LEC.
Tried to leave Misfits, what's it called, to try and play with Forgiven. Excuse me? To play Forgiven in the challenger scene and then quit. Like that why would you want this man? This man, he doesn't actually want to be in the coaching role. He just kind of settles for it. And he thought Forgiven would be able to carry him back into the prime of the LCS. When it didn't happen, he was upset about that. Like, I think at this point in time, you can't get rid of Trick because at the same, like, I don't really know who you play around. Like, what does this team do? Does this team just like? I think. What?
Might as well start a power ranking. So yeah, I have SK Gaming at 10th as well. So I'm just gonna start. I have SK Gaming at 10th. This roster looks like crap. These people don't know what the hell they're doing. They somehow have a worse roster after even having a worse roster, after having a previously worse roster, after having a previously worse roster.
You've been around for 2 split seasons, and you want to start throwing like you made it sound like they've had history for decades, dude.
No. I'm talking about just from last year. Last year they already had a bad roster.
I'm just saying, I don't think they had the worst roster on the planet. Their first split, we power ranked them pretty low, but they really shifted the dynamic of how EU. They literally transitioned EU into a fast-paced region like by themselves. Like, well, they were already pretty fast, but I mean, they forced a lot of the top tier teams to be able to play against these fast tier players because they were so fast-paced. I don't want to trash talk SK Gaming last year because it didn't work out. But they
did make playoffs, which was surprising to a lot of people.
It wasn't surprising. I mean, a lot of people expected because they were one of the better challenger teams coming out of the the EU challenger scene. But at the same time, it's not just that. Just tuned in. We literally started seconds ago, and I don't even know because I didn't know we were doing power rankings. Like he kind of sprung it on me about 5 seconds before this. But
oh my god.
I think, SK Gaming has to be 10. Like,
thank you, Nick. Anybody who puts them above 10th is trolling. You have to be trolling.
He was telling him how far in the rankings we were.
Oh no, man! We literally just started, bro. Philip Anderson, so on. Thank you for coming in. We literally just started. SK Gaming for me personally is 10th place. Gen X is top. Roll swap. That can only go one way, bad or good. That's it. It's only one way roll swaps work.
I don't know what what I do about the bottom tier teams are so significantly close, so close to a point in a bad, it's not really a bad way because I'd rather have any of them in the LCS than I would have CLG.
Oh no, I take SK Gaming. I'm not watching their games ever. They're boring. They're bad. They don't know what the hell they're doing. Their macro sucks.
At the very least, their games end fast. That's all I can say.
Whoa.
Their games end fast. Like, they lose gracefully.
They don't even get, you know what's funny? They don't even get a chance to play the game. If you look at all their games, they don't even play, really.
It's frustrating because I don't want to give up on Sakurai, really, because I think it's all come down to
I think he has potential.
I think we saw a little bit of potential last season, and I really just think it's too early to give up on somebody who did show some sort of potential in the summer split. But at the same time, I can see why they're not playing him. But Gen X is not the answer. I don't understand this. I think, in my opinion, this season, regardless of the situation, you're clinging on to the slight hope that you might make playoffs if everybody underperforms and you play better than expected. And that's just not something they should be shooting for. There is no relegations like we talked about earlier. They should just make drastic changes in the roster and see what happens.
They should take their whole academy team and put them in, see what happens.
I don't agree with it. I think they should find other players because their academy team is also trash.
You're already 10th. You might as well do it.
I'm just
what
saying,
do you got to lose?
I don't think those are the players to build around. Building blocks need to have strong foundations, and there's no strong foundations in these players that I see.
I mean, you never know. Their academy team might play better on stage. You never know. I mean,
there seems to be 100 better jungle. That's what I'm saying. Like you don't need to keep Trick. Maybe in their mind they think they can salvage this season, and that's the only reason I can like make this work, because there's absolutely no reason Trick should still be on the roster. Like there's no need for it. Trick should not be on this roster, but Trick is not the worst player on this team. Trick is not the worst player on this team, and that's the worst part about this.
Their worst player is that trash support they have. What is his name? Limit? That guy is garbage.
Yeah, that's my big thing about Kickus. Is as much as I like to trash talk Kickus because I don't like a lot of things about his playstyle, he is a really good foundation for building a team.
He does fix teams when they're in crises. That's what he does.
You don't have to have an amazing jungler. You just have to have somebody who can teach players. I think you kind of get a strong veteran player. Maybe he does. You're not shooting for worlds, so you don't need to get a good jungler. I think you put him in either the support role or the jungle role and try and build a lot of rookies around this is how we play the game. And I know I'm trash, but we're not trying to win this season. We're trying to get better at the game. And then replace him next season because he's worthless. That's all you have to do.
They're still clinging on to the fact that Trick was the MVP of 2 splits.
Just so you know, if they got I don't know what they expect. He's had times to redeem himself. It's not like he has been sitting out trying to find his time to redeem himself. He's been getting team after team. They just keep picking him up, and there's just been no reason for it. He's had like his prime was 2000, 2004.
16.
They still want to grab him and put him in a roster. Like, I don't get it.
It's like grabbing Joker at this point. You guys know who Joker was from Sandbox last year?
I will fight you if you trash. Joker was extremely exciting. He's not bad. I don't get it. I don't get the reasoning behind trash talking him because he was bad this season.
He's an old man. That is an old man at that.
You know who old? Faker. Faker's old too.
You know who's old? I'm just kidding. I can't. No.
You can do that. You're gonna do it.
But yeah, guys. SK Gaming is 10th place. And my 9th place team is going to be Team Vitality. So last split, everyone knows they didn't get a chance to get all their visas together, so they didn't get a chance to exactly have their full roster. And I think with their full roster, that's better than anything SK Gaming is, because here's my reasoning: SK Gaming was bad with their intended roster. Vitality didn't have a roster, technically. So SK Gaming was already bad with the completed roster. Team Vitality didn't even get a chance to have their own roster.
I want to point out. Wait, you're not done?
That's it.
No, you're good. You're good. You can finish. You finish.
That's it. That's all I had. I mean,
you were in the middle of a sentence.
You have Cableshard and Jack Troll, and someone trolled me. They're like, you can't blame Jack Troll. You don't know what he's doing in the team to make them better. I know one thing: he's been bad pretty much every single split.
See, I keep looking at Mad Lion's roster, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't see what you're talking about. I keep forgetting about it. So
Team Vitality.
I know. I don't know why. So, I mean, what is actually the positives about this team is the fact that at the very least they made changes. Like what's it called? SK Gaming tried to literally bring in a bunch of players that are proven to not be good. Like, I don't understand the reasoning behind all these players. A lot of them are like tenured players who've proven to be mediocre at the best. And at the very least, like, Vitality went out of their way. They brought in a lot of pretty young players, and we got to see that they weren't good. And you can't blame them for that. They keep some of the younger players, keep the tenured old players that kind of driving them around the map. But it didn't work out. I can't fault them for that, because at the very least they made moves that kind of make sense in my mind.
They have Maliksa. Maliksa is supposed to be super hyped because he was supposed to be coming out of the EU Master Scene.
I'm just saying there's absolutely nothing wrong with this team except the fact that they're terrible. Like, Jack Troll was the worst pickup in my mind. I mean, I think you already have that veteran support, voice in the top lane. You did not need stupid. You did not need to bring in Jack Troll. That was unnecessary.
You're talking about when they had Steel back for those couple of weeks, right?
I'm talking about Jack Troll.
Remember how they swapped him out between Jack Troll and Steelback, because Steelback was the support for a little bit too.
I'm just talking about Jack Troll specifically.
Oh, okay.
He's already proven that he's not good, is what I'm saying.
They said after 3 weeks of tryouts, he proven he was good.
Well, he didn't prove it in the games. I mean, I actually don't. Again, I'm not gonna try and pretend that I know enough about the EU Master Scene. So this is all gonna be based off Labrov is all going to be based off what I see in the games coming up, because I just have not seen enough about him. Like, I'd like to, I just, the fact that you say he's a top tier support in the regional regions is good enough for me to see. Schalke wants to pick up Jack Troll. I mean, yeah, they also picked up Forgiven, so I mean, that obviously they like to pick up washed players. I still love him as a player. I shouldn't say that.
Oh my gosh!
I think my big problem right now is the fact that like there's really nothing Vitality can do at this point.
Vitality, the reason why they're better than SK Gaming is because they have Cable Shard. You know, SK Gaming have
pretty average. This, like, I don't want to pretend Cable Shard has been solid either. I just think that I can put them above because Cable Shard has proven to be a better player than everybody else on their team. Like, there's no positives on this SK Gaming. There's not a single positive point on this lineup. Like, you can't point out a player on the SK Gaming lineup and say, this guy hasn't been around for 70 years. And on top of the fact, this guy is not trashed. There's every single one of them is old and washed up. On Vitality, there's a lot of young and washed up players. Like, they weren't good, but at the very least, like, it's not like you could have known that before you put him in the roster. Cavachard, again, I think he's going to bounce back. I think he had a really solid year last year, even though this spring wasn't great. I think, like, with the pickup of who you were saying with, what's it called? With Lebrov, and you're saying he's an awesome support. So I do really have a lot of hope for them going. Even if it doesn't work out this year, you have solid foundations. There was there were some pretty solid players on this team, like, for the most part. And if it all works out towards the later end of next year, if Cavachard doesn't just become too old, I mean, I think this team could at the very least compete for the last place in the playoff spot.
If Maliksa and Labrov work out, I think they could make playoffs. It's a possibility. It's a very big possibility, but their head coach is still Duke.
I mean, is there really anything you can say? I mean, I don't like. It's obviously not something I'm really sure how to talk about. Like, Duke has not had enough time to prove to me whether or not he's not good. But at the same time, from what I've seen, it's obviously not one of their strengths. It's like drafting phase has been. It's not one of their problems, is what I'm saying, because he doesn't really know what to play around, but at the same time, it's not helping him in the long run. Like, he's not picked like picks that I would say are beneficial to the team. I don't know. I don't want to say he's bad, because I genuinely don't like to judge coaches that are new to the scene that fast.
Yeah.
But I don't think, again, I don't know what to say.
I think they have potential, but only if the rookies show it. They had the worst rookies out of all the rookies that came in last play.
Let me see.
Come on. Misfits had rookies, Bad Lions had rookies, and so did freaking.
I'm trying to see about all the rookies, though. No, they did have. I don't know. I didn't like Schalke's rookie. I didn't really like Camino. Like, what's it called? The one they brought in to replace Forgiven for a little bit?
Inax.
No, I'm just saying they brought in somebody
Inax.
Forgiven. Yeah, that was for a little bit. I'm talking about the one they brought in for what's it called? The substitute they brought in for a little bit.
Lorax for Gilius?
No. You're misunderstanding me. The guy, he didn't actually. I don't think he actually played a game.
Inax played every game after Forgiven.
No, I'm not. You're misunderstanding. Like, the guy they brought in, Camito, is one of is the substitute for their team right now. And again, he's not looked good in most of the scenes that I've seen him in. Like, I don't know. I guess you can't really judge him because he didn't actually play. But at the same time, I guess, I can't really make an argument. There's not really a worse, like, rookie out of any of the regions. I mean, out of any of the teams. Like, does Bavoy count as a rookie?
No, he played in LPL. He played in the LPL before.
It's hard. Like, I'm talking specifically to you, but I guess, yeah. Boris is not. When was the last time Boris played, dude?
Boris played on. Remember how they couldn't get upset for a couple weeks?
I don't know if I agree with. I don't think Crepo played very well, but I mean, again, he didn't play bad. Like, it was not
Crepo. Oh man, I've heard Crepo in a while. Actually, that's a long time ago.
There's a reason for that, but yeah, I mean, again, I don't know.
Lord, what a weirdo! Crepo was a weird man.
Okay, no, let's not get into that.
But yeah, Skeens was actually good. Comp was rather met. Malik said had no chance to play. Yeah, that's why I said these new rookies they have coming in, I think they have potential based off what I saw in the EU Masters. I actually did watch the EU Masters. As most people know, I watched literally everything. So I saw good things out of Maliksa, and I saw good things out of these other rookies, but that's not the same thing. It's like, yeah, EU Masters does bring up people, but this is still the big leagues. You know, that's still the difference. They have to take that transition away from playing EU Masters to playing the big leagues. It's the same thing Rogue had a problem with too. Rogue's team was good in EU Masters. Well, look at Rogue's team now. They're like, what, 6th place? So
Rogue's team really did. They looked good in the EU scene. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that this team didn't look solid.
But they were definitely meh.
They weren't. Well, yeah, a team that was average. I mean, above average, I would say. Above average in the LCS LEC is still pretty impressive to me. I'm not going to pretend that they were great, but like I think saying that they're not a pretty solid team because they came out of them succeeding in the challenger scene and them translating pretty well into the LEC actually more in my mind proves how developed that scene is.
Oh, so now we have my 8th place team is going to be Schalke.
Schalke?
Yeah, and they announced today for week 1 their support is going to be Sir Nuxalot, who once played on Giants a while ago.
The thing about it is I would use, like, just based off rosters, I want to rate Vitality a lot higher. But it just seems like Schalke has a better grasp of the game right. Like they
got Odawamne.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like it just
better than players that have the team on Vitality.
Like player wise, they have the worst players out of Vitality in them. I don't know how it happens that I think they're the better team, yet somehow Vitality is the one that I would rank lower. Like because it's all about I really don't know how to say it. Like they don't really have a strong point on this team. Warsaw's Vitality, I would say at the very least they've shown that they could play through 1 or 2 people. Like, who would you say is the best player on this team?
For Team Vitality?
Yeah. No. Schalke.
Odawamne and Abadake had a few games where he was carrying them. He just didn't know what the hell he was doing, though.
I'm just saying, like,
he had a few pop-off games where he knew what he was doing, but he's so bad at it that at least he's showing he's able to carry some games.
I'm just saying,
are we going to trust that random rookies from Vitality are going to just obligatorily just carry games? Like, Comp proved he sucked last split. Comp was pretty bad. Like, that's just me.
I agree with that. I'm just saying, like, on paper, I still think that Schalke has the worst team than Vitality. I mean, I don't know, like, the understanding the meta must be their strong suit. I mean, Dylan Falco has to get some credit because with probably the worst or second worst roster in the league, he's made a pretty okay roster that was able to take games off some of the higher mid-tier teams.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you can't fault them for much. Like, if the drafting phase isn't their problem, they're just not a good team. Like their jungler is what's the jungler's name?
For who? Schalke?
Yeah, please tell me what is his name.
Lorax.
Like
Lorax.
I think my big thing about this, like, again, I don't know how to say, like, it's not like they play fast paced. They don't have a unique take on the meta yet. They literally just play the game as it's been played since like season 5. Like I don't know. It's not like they play fast. Do you think they play fast paced? They're just like, they're not a unique team. They're just
depends on the comp. Depends on the composition.
Well, usually that's just every team on the planet. You can
that they don't really have a play style though. Once they lost Upset, they don't have a play style. They used to play through Upset. Now without Upset, you play through what? Odawamne?
Again, there's not much to say about this team. They don't have potential on top of the fact that the only strong suit they have is, in my opinion, it has to be the grasp of the meta because it's not bad. I mean, they have a better grasp of the meta in my opinion than like teams like maybe I don't know.
Excel?
Excel. I mean, Excel just has better players than them, and that's really why they're better than them. Like Excel just wins out in pretty much every position.
Yeah, guys. So far, if you're in the power rankings, my 10th place team is SK Gaming. My 9th place team is Team Vitality. 8th place is Schalke No Fear. For Schalke's roster, they announced that for week 1, instead of playing Dreams, they're gonna play Sir Nukes a lot.
Should never have got that. See, neither one of these are good solutions. They're both terrible supports. Sir Nukes when was the last time? How long has Sir Nukes been in the scene? I want you to tell me.
Oh man, I've seen him on challenger teams, and I've seen him get his professional shot. Was it on Giants? We saw him on Giants in 2018. I remember he was on Giants.
I've never been like he's been on teams before, and he's never been impressive. He's never been an impressive player. And honestly, maybe that's still a step up from Dreams, because Dreams has been terrible since he's came into the scene. Like I never saw a reason as to why he got a second team in the first place after his performance, like last year. Like it's not like with Dreams and Crownshot was not a dynamic bot lane. It's not like there was something impressive, yet both of these players kept their spots.
Yeah, right now he's currently the support for Schalke. Yeah, because he's playing on week 1. So I don't know if they're gonna play Dreams.
They're not gonna play Dreams.
Yeah, I think Dreams. I don't know. He was pretty. Forgiven broke this guy. Forgiven did something to him because he wasn't that bad.
He was bad last year. He was not.
No, he was the reason. He was the reason why like Self-Made got covered up in a lot of his mistakes too.
You're incredibly wrong. Okay, I'll point out the best players in SK Gaming: Self-Made, then Sakurai, then Crownshot, and honestly, it's between him and Pyrion for like who is worse.
You think Dreams was that bad? I thought Dreams was pretty underrated.
Dreams was horrible.
I thought he was pretty underrated in that roster.
He was not underrated. I don't see. He didn't really cover up, like maybe a few wards here and there. He didn't really actually contribute to the actual invades. Self-Made made a lot of mistakes, but that's just because how hyper aggressive his playstyle was. Like Dreams literally did not contribute to this team that made it to the playoffs. Like as good as this team was, he was not one of the reasons they made it. I agree with that. I'm trying to emphasize how bad I think Dreams was. But Pyrion was definitely the worst player. Pyrion was not. I mean, Pyrion was okay in summer. I mean, spring.
Why even? I'm not going to go. Why even grab that guy? What did he show in scrims? He must have been stomping caps for them to grab him.
I mean, the reason they picked him up is because he was the mid laner for SKT. Everybody's been trying to get the mid laner for SKT for years, dude. Come on.
Yeah, they finally
grabbed the wrong one.
But I don't know. I don't think Cernusolok is bad. I think he played on Giants. Like
he was not good. He was not good when he played. Like just if you can't point out one of the strengths of his play styles, I think there's nothing redeemable about him. It's not like he makes mistakes trying to make hyper aggressive plays. He kind of is again. In my opinion,
exists. He
doesn't just exist. Like he just doesn't contribute. Contribution is one of the biggest aspects of support because it's one of the most forgiving for you to be able to roam around the map. It is the most flexible and most like least restricted roles in the early game. That and Matten's jungle are the two roles that can roam the most of the early game, and he doesn't do that. And that's really just such a letdown. Like you can't play as a player in one of the most important roles in the game and important early game roles in the game and not be hyper aggressive early game. Just non-existence it should not be allowed in the support role, in my opinion. It just bothers me when people don't do anything. Bothers me when they're probably, unless they're just kind of stomping lane, there should never be a situation where you constantly stay bot. Like he does not contribute around the map. From what I saw, at least. Maybe he swapped when he swapped in the challenger scene. I don't watch that much of it, so I didn't.
I think you're going to be equally as just disappointed. I think he was just pretty average, honestly. That's just me. That's why I have them lower.
I don't really want to talk about Schalke too much because there's just not enough versatility on their roster for me to really say anything about them.
7th place for me is going to be Excel Esports. So now they swapped out Mickey and Expect. They don't have the language barrier problem that Young Buck said they did, even though he was all for Mickey joining the roster on what's that Thorin show called? Elitist United. They have Karzi from Unicorns of Love and Special. Where was Special? I think Special played on. He played a few games for Excel in the 29. He played a few games. And
my biggest letdown on this team is the fact that they never played Mystiques. Like it just doesn't make sense to me because he actually played pretty solidly in the previous season. Like he never had a terrible game. Like he was one of the biggest reasons as to why they turned their roster around last season.
When they had Exile, holy crap.
And it's like the hyper aggressive playstyle would have worked perfectly for him because that's just what he did. He roamed around like constantly. And then it must have been some sort of personality problem because there was absolutely no reason they should have replaced him. And then afterwards, they just have average supports after that. I mean, like it's not like it's their weakest point, but I mean, I wouldn't say it's the strongest. Like Special has been on this roster for a while though. I don't know.
Special has been on the roster, hasn't he? I remember seeing him play. I remember him playing. I thought he was okay. I thought he wasn't. I thought he was okay. I think he was bad. I think that freaking XL just came into the league, so it's like you are picking up new players, and he's rather young. So I mean, I don't know. I need to see more out of him. That's what I want to see.
Again, it's hard for me bringing me into the EULCS, which is probably my weakest point because most of these players are from the challenger scene, which I just don't watch enough. But I can say what I can from the actual LEC.
You know Kadrill, and you know Patrick, and you know Torre.
Had team comps made for him to play like Vladimir bot lane, and they played Soraka Leona, healing up that Vladimir. Leona. I mean, are you talking about healing from Leona, or are you talking about the ability to CC them so he can consistently heal himself? Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's not like Leona herself has healing besides whatever it's called when you does Font of Life.
But, problem is Torre was never good, and special is also big. Torre had his one good split on Rocket, and then after that, his 1 year on Rocket. After that, he was.
Just what I'm saying is like. It made no sense to me why they got rid of Mystiques. That's my biggest question mark about this team is what went wrong in the backs, like behind the scenes for this player to get replaced by Kasing when he obviously proved that season that he shouldn't have been, like he was literally a step up and they instantly replaced him because they brought in Yarnin who wanted to play with him.
Yarnin played one game.
I'm just saying that's the reason they put him back in, remember?
Yeah, I remember. Mm-hmm.
It just bothered me so much and like it aggravates me that they never actually kind of like really.
It's like they know how to build a roster, but they keep doing stupid crap. Like they know how to build a roster. It's like their rosters have never been bad. The first one that came out was bad, but Kadrill is good. I think Patrick is pretty good at what he can do. And there's aren't they supposed to have a new support now from?
He's just talking about. Are you talking about what team are you talking about? XL?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen any information on it, but if there is a new support, I'd like to know about that. I mean, again, I don't.
I'm just trying to make sure I keep up onto my sub. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think they have a good.
I think
the rosters are never. I don't know.
They don't have a bad roster. I think their high tempo play is still existing. I think Kadrill is still a pretty solid jungler, in my opinion. I don't think he's not as good as last season because I think. In my opinion, I'm going to say it again. I think last season he might have been the best jungler, just on a worse team. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but I think Kadrill is taken a step down this season, but at the same time, I still think he's not terrible. I mean, their big problem has still been mid lane. I mean, mid lane has still been one of their biggest problems. They got an upgrade in ADC with Patrick, and that's pretty much. And he's been playing pretty solidly, actually. It's just ADC is one of the hardest roles to play with a terrible team around you because it's emphasized. It's one of the biggest roles that emphasizes team play. I think like Expect getting replaced was kind of sad for me. Like all around.
I don't know. He played pretty bad.
He did. I mean, I don't disagree with that. I mean, it's sad to me that it's somebody who actually played pretty solidly last year and didn't really get a full chance to really show what he was made. Like they really didn't play around him enough last year. And this year,
but do you play around him? He's not really a carry though. Like why play around him?
I mean, who else are you gonna play around last year? Tell me. Like maybe Mickey? I mean,
no. Last year they didn't. They had They
had Mickey last year.
They did. Yeah, they did. They had him for the They had him for summer, right? Summer and spring.
Land on a supportive champ like Lulu or Soraka, and then let top and bot carry them. That could work. I mean, realistically, I think this is the best time to do it because I think Karma is in a good spot. But at the same time, there's not too many, in my opinion, like good supportive mid laners out there. Like Orianna kind of functions that way, but she's really relying on team-oriented play. Like she really does function as the good ults off, and I don't know how much of an ability they have in the mid lane to be able to do that. Like there's not really too many supportive mid laners out there that are actually solid. Like Lulu is not a good mid laner. You can't really put mid lane on a Lulu. I don't think it functions. It's so counterable that it's going to be hard for them to be able to do it. Like I really don't know about Soraka. Just genuinely doesn't have the damage to stave off or the wave clear to be able to keep them from consistently roaming. Lulu at the very least has that, so she can function. But Soraka is my least favorite. Like it can happen. It's able to do it, but it's just not extremely good. Like,
I think they have a better foundation than a lot of teams. Like you can build around players like Torre, Patrick, and Kadrill. They have solid players, better than.
Honest opinion, if I had to pick a team out of like Vitality and Excel to be right now, I would probably pick Team Vitality. They Both of these teams are going to do nothing in the like next
LEC.
week. I didn't say anything.
What'd you say?
I said.
Oh, you got cut off for a second.
Yeah, I said both of these teams are going to be doing nothing in the next in the next year. This year is neither one of them are going to succeed. So what they should be looking towards is the future. Like at the very Excel has better pieces right now, and that's just a possibility. But Casual he's not something you build around. He's not a new player on top of the fact that he's not a superstar. Like he looked really good for last year, but I mean he's not kept up with it. Like Excel is really just not as in a good spot as Team Vitality because they're not trying to build around younger players. They're trying to make this team work instead. Like Patrick was a good pickup. I completely agree with that. I think that should be your starting foundation. And you can honestly keep – I think the two players you have to keep are Casual and Patrick right now. You keep the players and just kind of wipe the floor with everybody else. You don't just throw a mid laner in there to try and make it function. Like if they consistently do this, they're going to constantly be mid-tier. They're kind of a mid-tier team until their players start falling off a cliff, potential-wise. Their best choice, again, in my opinion, is still they need to start removing players from this team. They need to start getting more young people on this team. And mid lane is the big problem. There's so many good mid laners in EU, yet they somehow still don't have a good one. Like
you know how you make people happy? You choose Exile in your first split into the LEC.
It's not just that. And then replace them with Mickey. Like they just made no good choices in the mid lane. One of the EU's biggest, like their best positions. Yeah, he somehow doesn't make it function. Like it doesn't make sense. Like there's no reason for Special to be on this team. There's no reason Mickey should have been on this team. He's proven he's not able to function in this kind of environment. There's no reason to have what's his name?
Cadril?
No, not Casual. No, I'm not saying nothing bad against Casual. There's no reason to have Torre. I mean, he's already proven his inability to play on like any team. Like they keep picking up these average players and trying to make these. They have good foundations, yet that's all they try and go around. You don't put 3 average players around 2 pretty solid players because
that means you get an average team.
Well, I'm just saying you're gonna be middle of the pack until until these guys get out of their prime, and then at that point in time, you don't have any good pieces, and you have to scrap the team and rebuild from new, like which they should start doing right now. Get ahead of the process so they don't. You bring better junglers and mid laners. I don't know. I mean, if I had to say their best role right now, I mean, I think you're thinking about that because of Shadow and stuff. Shadow is not a bad jungler. Selfmade was great.
Shadow and Razork.
At the very least, like
Razork was good.
I don't think recency. I mean, you look at some of the junglers they've had recently in EU. I mean, I think they've had Gilius, they've had Mowgli, they've had Amaze. Like all these play 80s. Junglers are recent, and a lot of the up and coming players, in my opinion, they've been pretty solid. I think the ones that have stuck around the most out of the players that have come up recently. I mean, the only jungler that has stayed from last year that was a rookie was Selfmade. So Made's the only one that I think transitioned into the next phase as a rookie that stayed. If we look at the mid laners, we have Abadage, we have Nemesis, we have Humanoid. Not a lot of them are bad. Good. We have Larson. Like all these players consistently, they made roster points in the next split because I think, again, even though they're not good here, it's obvious that you're not really going to get much better play. Like if all these players, I think, would succeed pretty well into the NA.
Shadow and Razork are good players though.
But these guys, I didn't say that. That's why I'm saying. I don't know about Lurox again. Lurox is one of the.
I don't know all about Lurox yet. I want to see a little bit more out of him. He played
Well, no, I don't know if he played bad. I'm just saying I haven't seen it yet. I told you right now, this is not my strength. He kind of sprung EU LCS on me. So anybody from the challenger scene is not going to be my strength. I will hold my what I'm about to say about him until later. Like hold off on that. I don't want to I'm not trying to say anything about that, but that's pretty much for Excel. As you guys know, that is going to be my 7th place team. 6th place team I have right here is Rogue. So Rogue came in to last split. A lot of people were hyped about them. A lot of people thought they're going to be 4th place. Finn, Inspired, Larson, and Hansam and Vander. They got 5th place last split, right? They got around 5th, 6th, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember what they finished off, but they actually looked really solid towards the end of the split. It feel like they started putting stuff together. Again, Finn is one of the big things about. I had a lot of hope coming into the season with him, and just kind of similar to Sakura, but he's not a top tier. He didn't get to that top tier potential that I thought he was going to get to. Like if we look at the top tier top laners, he really doesn't compete with Whippo Wonder, Afari, like all of those players, he's just not on the same tier as them, in my opinion. I think he's really he's still a really good player. I think that it's unfair to say that he's not. It's I don't know. It's not like EU struggles in any position really. It's just the fact is that
the better players stand out.
The better players stand out, and he's above middle of the pack, but he's not elite, and that's just not disappointing. But at the same time, it's not as exciting as I really did think he was probably going to be one of the best mid laners by this year. So that was a
top laners.
Finn disappointed me again. Well, yeah, top laner. Finn really, I really did think he was going to be one of the best top laners in the league. Did I say mid laners?
Yeah. Are you old?
I just I think very often. Like,
I think you're old at this point.
I forgot to like Inspired is also a jungler that I really do think like there has been he was the like when I said jungler mid laners that carried over rookies, he's actually a rookie jungler that did carry over to the next season with his selfmade. So I was wrong about that. I tried to make a point that didn't actually work out because it doesn't make sense. But Larson's been pretty solid for this team. Hanzom was an insanely good pickup, and Vander's played better than last year, in my opinion. I think he really did not impress me last year. So all around, I think this team is something. They're not in the same phase as XL because it's not like they have bad pieces around them. They have a lot of young players who are playing pretty well. On top of the fact they have a lot of like veterans who can make stuff happen. I think this team possibly could make Worlds. It's a possibility. Not the biggest possibility, but it's not like it's impossible for them. But there's 4 spots. I mean, they have to beat out is like Misfits or Mad Lions, in my opinion, for that spot.
I think Larson is still pretty good. I think he's still growing into himself as a player. I think Hansama actually had a pretty good split. All things considered, I think he had a good split.
Bad split he had, man. I mean,
the Misfits roster last year.
He had a bad split. It's like the team comps were built around specific play styles around Hansama, and once they figured that out, it didn't function anymore because their team had a one-dimensional play style. I don't blame Hansama for that. I don't think he played poorly, but once he got
Vander is still playing pretty well. Vander's still kicking after all these years.
I'm saying Vander played a lot better. Am I? Yeah, I just it's hard for me to like. He's not been bad this split. I think he's played a lot better than he did the previous year, but like all around, I think this team has the ability to compete with the top tier teams. They have a unique play style. I think they're not unique, but they're pretty decently fast paced. They have the ability to take games off the top tier teams.
They have a game sense. Like they know how to play the game to a decent level. They're not exactly bad. I have them at 6 because I think they're going to be a gatekeeper team. I think they're better than XL, Schalke, Vitality, and SK Gaming.
Every team, again, they're not. I don't think they can lose to these other bottom 2 teams that we named off. Like
if they lose these bottom 2 teams, they're just choking.
They're still doing the 6 players teams in playoffs, correct? They're not.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure they're doing 6 teams.
I don't feel like seeing Vitality in the playoffs this year.
Yep, EU is top 6 teams in the playoffs.
Okay, so I think this is going to be the last place, last place playoff team. I think they really, again, I don't think they're going to make much happen because even though they do have a lot of young talent, they don't have the potential a lot of the rest of these players do. Like if we look at the best teams in the league right now, like in my opinion, with Dan, Rezo, like all these players that are coming out into the EU scene, like I think that these are probably one of the worst like rookies. Like I think Finn is not as impressive as the rest of them. I think that Inspired looked really pretty solid last year, but not as
Hong Salma's like one-dimensional. He can only really play like Lucian and Draven really well.
I agree with that. I think he can play a lot. I just think that that's the style that benefited Misfits last year. I don't think he's been really resorting to that as much this year. I mean,
I think his champion pool. He has champion pool issues. Like I don't know.
I can say that about a lot of players. You can still be good and have champions as long as you have more than bans. I mean, as long as you have more than 3 players, you can get picked in the first rotation, and it should be fine.
So that's my 6th place team. 5th place team is going to be Misfits. Actually, I think Misfits getting Kabe is actually a pretty big upgrade because I think Kabe will want to prove himself that it wasn't him. It was just TSM being TSM. You have Denik, Kabe, Febevin, Razork, and Dandan. I think Dandan has actually been pretty solid. A lot of these in this last past split, though, I thought he was actually pretty serviceable. I thought Razork was good. I thought Razork provided a lot. Febevin had a resurgence in his career. Febevin actually played pretty well, all things considered. He kind of fell off toward the very end. Kinda.
I don't know if I like again top four support after Kaiser, Healy, and Mickey X. I mean, I really would. I like as much as I like Hillisang, like I feel like his inconsistencies are the big reason as to why I just can't think of him as he's not on the same level as Mickey X. He's not on the same level as those players because like his good games are extremely good. Like he has some of the best games. He has some of the most like he has some of the biggest pop-offs out of the support role, but at the same time, he also has some of the worst, like some of the biggest mistakes. He's been a lot of the reasons as to why Fnatic has struggled in a lot of these scenes, like in a lot of the games that they failed in because he just walks out there and gets caught. Like there's a lot of mistakes in Hillsang's play, but I do agree that he's one of the best supports. But again, I think my problem, again, I don't agree with this placement. I already told you, I think they're going to get third place because one of the bigger problems with Misfits was because of the fact that they didn't have that ADC to play around. They were forced into the kind of the two-centric role where they played around either Feven or Dan, and they weren't able to transition into proper team fights because even if you build a team comp around it, most of the sustained damage comes out of the ADC. And Bavoy just couldn't provide what I think is a solid play around. With the addition of Kabe, I think they're going to be able to play that supportive mid lane if they really need to, which I don't think they should. But it's gonna open up a lot of more avenues to where they can play around. And I think that's a big reason as to why I think they're going to succeed. Like, you have one of the best up-and-coming junglers in the league. Like, you have Dan, who's played pretty incredible this season. I think you have Feven, who's been one of the best mid laners in the league. I mean, like, maybe the second best probably, actually. Like, the second best young mid lane. Do you think there's somebody better than him?
I don't know. There's very comparable cases that he could be maybe a top 3 mid laner. I'll say that.
Oh, I don't know. I'd like to know who you think the best mid laners in the league are. If you don't,
you said Nemesis was so.
Nemesis is great. I think I'm putting Nemesis up there. I just like you can.
So if you have Perks, Nemesis, and Febiven, then that's arguably he was top 3. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Because I think that Febiven played better than at least Nuke Duck. Now no one's gonna want to hear that, but I think Febiven played better than Nuke Duck though. Again,
Nuke Duck's his popularity has soared because of his laning phase prowess, but I think there's a lot of problems in his post laning phase. I've said that a million times though, so I mean I'm not gonna agree with this. I think Misfits is third place, but I don't want to go make my own list, so I'll just say that for now. I think Nuke Duck.
You can have if you did that, that's fine. I mean, I'm putting them there because I think their issues around the game sense is weird.
It's not issues around the game sense. What you were saying right now, again, their problem was based off the fact that once it got to post-laning phase into transitional team fights, they played poorly, and I agree with that. But that is literally, again, what I'm pointing out, the fact that they didn't have the ADC for the sustained damage. Like, it really just – I don't think a lot of people understand how important having a good ADC is in terms of just teams that are essentially –
Now they have Kabe. Now they have Kabe, though.
He has the ability to open, like, they're going to have a lot better team fighting. And I think that's one of the biggest things that's going to surprise people if they're not actually paying attention to this. Like, that, but I'll let you go now.
No, I was just thinking about something.
Like, it's surprising to me that a lot people, like, more people don't have them at third. I mean, I think I've seen a few people, for the most part, it's not as consistent. And I'd like to see, I'd like to see what this actually does for the team. I mean, again, like it could play pretty well. I mean, I don't think Bavoy had very much like what's it called? Had
mechanical prowess as
Feb said. Much of an impact on the environment, so I don't see this making a negative turn. Because Bavoy obviously is Korean, so it's not like his forte is talking to a lot of the players on the team.
Nick, you had OG. I have Matt at third, Misfits at fourth, and OG you have OG at fifth. What?
My big thing about it, I don't like to put emphasis on previous iterations of teams when they're pretty substantially different, because I don't think a lot of their problems stemmed from the upper management, which I do think. Like, I mean, first of all, they replaced the head coach anyways, but second of all, like, I don't think my problem was like the upper management, which I don't think that was the environment problem. So I think it's really unfair to compare previous iterations of Misfits when they really didn't keep anybody the same. Like, who's the same player from last season besides Feven? Like, Feven's really the only one that consistently played last season.
They still have the same game sense where they don't really even play through him. do things bad. Like their game knowledge is hopefully it improves because one person wants to like do dragon, right? Four people are doing dragon. Their top laner decides to just run down, get caught. Like I don't know. They have a lot of weird game plans. Like one person invades a buff and then they die, and then they throw the other laners behind because of that. Now they have no jungle pressure. It's like I need to see that macro improve before I put them any higher because their macro's always been trash. Macro's always trash. No matter what roster they're ever playing, it's always bad.
It's a bad thing to compare again previous iterations of teams when they don't have any similar functioning players. If you think it's a player, if you think it's an upper management problem.
I mean, they have
the misfits that makes them the same. They replaced Moose last year. Moose is not the head coach anymore, and that's all I remember. Like that was. I can't remember exactly what the new guy's name is, but it does seem like they've played a lot more. I think the reason Fevin is benefiting more is because they've given them a lot more like
resources
recently. I think they've changed the play style. But again, maybe that changes when they have an actual threat in the bot lane. Who knows? But I don't think they're going to transition into this bad like team fighting team. Like not team fighting, like this bad like macro sense team. Like they didn't. I don't think they had back macro. I mean, again. When you don't have a good team fight and you don't have the option, you're forced into situations where you're like having to consistently look for picks to be able to make it work later on.
I think they're going to be one-dimensional. That's what I think their problem is going to be.
They just literally opens up avenues with them. If you have that, it could, yes. But why do you think they're going to be one-dimensional?
Because Kabe is notoriously a weak side player, though.
He's not weak side. He's able to play weak side.
Like and he doesn't really opt for carry champions or overall.
He carry champions in ADC. ADC is not the carry role until late.
He likes to take the losing lanes. He likes to take the Kaisas, the Sivers. Like I think that's a problem when you look at the upper echelon.
ADCs, unless you're having support picks. Support defines the roles in the ADC unless it's Caitlyn. Caitlyn is the only ADC, and maybe Draven, like pretty much that defines how the lane is going to go in the lane. Like there's realistically no reason that I can say that like Kabe playing a weak ADC should matter. Kai'Sa's not going to lose to pretty much like most ADCs. Like most ADCs are going to go equalize with each other, and it's going to go based off how well the support plays the lane. I mean, support has all the CC. They have 90% of the damage inside of the lane, and that's the reason as to why it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter how aggressive. Like aggressive ADCs definitely benefit. I think that's a big thing, and that's why Forgiven was able to like pop off so many years ago because he was able to like weave in a lot of auto attacks while they were trying to trade, while they're trying to CS and stuff, and that's the best most ADCs do in the lane. It's all early game presence comes out of the support.
Like, that was fifth place. Fourth place is going to be Mad Lions. I think they have a very solid foundation. I saw a lot out of Shadow, Arome, Humanid, and Karzi and Kaiser. Now, their issue, I think, is that coming into this split, they're going to be a lot more smarter. Their weakest point is going to be Arome. I like that Arome was willing to play weak side, but he was their weakest player. He was the reason why they lost a lot of the games to the top tier teams because they have really good players. It's just that Arome is a really weak top laner, and I think he'll get exposed easily by the other upper echelon top laners in Wonder, Bwipo, Alfari. That's why I have Mad Lions a little bit lower. Shadow was pretty good. Humanoid played a Doinby role where he was like teaching them how to play on stage, but he still looked pretty decent himself. Karze looked pretty good toward the end of the split, and Kaiser looked pretty good too. They had a really solid team overall. I was pleasantly surprised by them. They had the best rookies. It's just the top lane situation for me lowers them. That's it. I think they. I mean, again, where would you put them?
I think again, if I had to put my third place again, I said is Misfits. My fourth place is probably Mad Lions because again, I think that Origin is a pretty solid team. I think there's a lot of problems with them, but if you want to talk about actually one-dimensional teams, that is 100% Origin. I think that is the reason as to why I can't rate them so high is because their lack of a mid game and their lack of ability to actually transition into this late game team because Nuke Duck takes the sideline. He like the resources they funnel into him early game transition into pretty much a negligible amount because he doesn't really have an effect in the later half of the game. Alfari's been in a lot better this year than he has last year, and that's something I'm impressed with. But like the only shining point on this team is they play extremely well in the early game with like Xerxes and Nuktuk, and then they really just kind of focus on Alfari and Upset, and those are the only two players that play well in the late game. Like their fast pacedness doesn't matter when they consistently try and force into a late game team fighting comp. That's just how they play. Like they counteract themselves with different styles of play in the entire team. Like they have Nuktuk, who's extremely fast paced early. They have Upset, who's pretty decent early, but he's more so centralized around fighting in the teams, like forcing team fights and stuff. Xerxes is an extremely aggressive jungler who really just doesn't. I don't think
Xerxes pretty. I think he fell off a little decent.
He's not as good. I mean, he was one of the better junglers for a little bit last year, and then he just kind of wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, this split he was kind of solid. I wouldn't say he was bad. He was solid.
I liked him on Splice, but Splice got the better end of the deal by replacing him with Shadow. I'm just saying.
But how did you go from talking about Mad Lions to talking about Origin?
Me? I was just
I was like, what?
Oh my god, you're right. No, I was telling you who my lower ranked team was.
All right, so you go over and recap who you had. So you had 10th place SK Gaming.
My 10th through 6th place were the same as yours.
Okay, so it's SK Gaming, Vitality, Schalke, XL, right? Those are all the same, right?
And then I swapped. No, Rogue is the same too.
And Rogue. Okay, so the top 6 are the same.
Yeah.
Sorry.
My 5th place, I put at Origin. My 4th place, I put at Mad Lions, and my 3rd is Misfits.
Okay.
I say Mad Lions best bot lane in EU. I mean, that's not really arguable. I mean, there's other
pretty good. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good bot lane.
Team had a weak point in the bot lane. Misfits had literally no one good. Or like I wouldn't say no one good, but like out in their bot lane. Like Fnatic was. I mean, Reckless is not in his prime anymore. I think he's still a pretty solid mid lane. ADC, and Halasing's too inconsistent, but I still think they're really solid. Not FC Schalke, whatever you want to call them. Schalke literally had Forgiven for some of the year, and that was. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you say about their bot lane. They were not impressive at all. I think.
Oh my lord! Forgiven. He didn't play meta picks. He bitched and moaned. He didn't get resources. Didn't play good. It was all bad over there. Remember how he posted? On Twitter that Schalke doesn't beat anybody. Posted a picture of the rankings, and Schalke would have been in first place. Good lord, man. Oh my god, Forgiven. Always toxic, never learning. Holy crap.
I'm just saying, all around, Schalke didn't have any solid. There's really bot lane is not the strength of XL. I think ADC is, but the support role kind of lacks in most of the role, the region, and where they have good supports, they usually don't have good ADCs. It's just the combination is not as common. Like Mad Lions is in a good position because they have one of the best supports in the league. I think a top 2 support, and then they have one of the best ADCs in the league. It's just they got really lucky with those rookies.
And next year they're all gonna be bought, so it doesn't matter. They're all getting bought next year. This is gonna be probably a new roster next year.
One of the best bot lanes, one of the best junglers in Mad Lions. Like you can't really say too much bad about this team. I think Humanoid, who didn't play that poorly, was still one.
I think Arome played worse. I think Arome was the weakest point.
But I'm just saying Humanoid who is a pretty solid player all around, was still one of the worst players on this team. I think he was the 4th. He was probably the 2nd worst on this team. I think Shadow, Kaiser, and Karzi all played better than him. Arome, again, I don't think Arome is as bad as you're making it seem. I don't think he's a bad player. I just think that in comparison to the top teams, he's not that good. I mean, I think
which is why I have them lower.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I just think top lane is not enough of a reason for me to put them below Origin because they're so fast paced that they can make up the difference between the top lane solo lanes. I mean, jungle is the most important role in the game right now. Jungle support dictate the early game pace, and with Shadow's ability to kind of force how fast the game is going makes up for what I say is a weak laning phase in Orome's part. Because I mean, I think that he team fights pretty well. I mean, I don't think he's bad at that. But
yeah,
he plays.
I think everything he can do, the top tier teams that I have above him, the top players can just do just better.
It doesn't. It's just not enough because they win out in pretty much bot lane. No bot lane in the league has a better one than them. I think they have a better jungler than 90% of the teams in the league. They have been playing pretty well. Like the only weak point you can really point out is top, and even top is not that bad. I mean, I just think, like, yeah, again, it's also a good point because it's not like they ever put him in a strength. Like, what game can you point out that they actually gave him a strong?
Most of the games I remember, he had the tank duty. He had the Maokais, he had the Scions, he had the what's the other tanks that's in the top? He sometimes got a game of set. Sometimes, like he wasn't completely trash. Like
I'm just
some
saying,
people
he wasn't that bad. He was not that bad. He's not great, but at the same time, I don't think he is bad enough to put them below some of these teams because they're so much stronger than the rest of the league in a lot of the positions. Like, I don't think he's bad enough to rank them down, in my opinion.
I mean, I have them at top 4. So
I know. I'm just saying, I don't see what everybody else is seeing in Origin. I really do think they had a pretty poor grasp of the meta. Like towards the end of the split, it really did show. They also have like a weaker roster on paper if we have to go back based off that. Like their team does not look good in my opinion. I mean, I think their bot lane is one of the solid points of Origin, but at the same time, Xerxes has not been playing that well. Nukeduck really just has not been making as much of an impact as most people would want him to. Like it's I don't know. I don't see.
You know what? I have seen the light. I am changing Mad Lions to 3rd.
I respect that. What are you putting Origin at? 4th or 5th?
I'm putting Origin at 4th.
Okay. I think it's just
I think they play way too slow.
They play aggressive, fast paced, and then transition into a team. Like you need to end the game if you have Nukeduck on the team. If you have a Nukeduck on the team, you need to I think Nukeduck would succeed on Mad Lions. I think he'd play pretty well on that team. I mean, I think he would require too much resources, but like his playstyle just genuinely fits in with their team.
Well, players like Nukeduck require you to be like TSM. You have to play through Bjergsen, or teams like Double if he's on, or teams like Faker, teams like with Uzi. The problem with that
is like Bjergsen. It's not like he has one specific place. Bjergsen plays many different ways.
Yeah,
Nukeduck does not.
Or a Froggen team. It's like having Froggen. You have to play that way.
Froggen forces you to play towards the later half of the game, and Nukeduck.
So does Nukeduck.
Forces you to play towards the beginning half of the game. Like it's
just to recap for you guys now, the 10th place through 6th is the same. My 5th place is Misfits, 4th place is Origin, Matt is 3rd, and then we'll get to the top 2 teams in a moment here. But Origin, I was swapping these two out all day. I think Origin played too slow, and Gilioto, I mean, he's put in a position where he has to give Nukeduck all the resources because he thinks that Nukeduck is their strongest player. I think Upset and Alfari are their strongest players, but they don't play towards them
incredibly well this year. I mean, I just don't. He's been one of the best top laners in the league. It's incredible.
No one gives him resources. Gilioto just wants to put all the resources into Nukeduck, and Nukeduck has looked pretty okay, but I think Upset also carried some games, and Upset doesn't get any resources. Neither does Xerxes is literally tailored towards playing around Nukeduck, and there's 2 better players on the team they can play through. Not to mention, they play way too slow. They don't know what the hell they're doing at certain points in the game, and their macro senses, it's not bad. It's just that they have fast-paced compositions, and they're stretching the game to like 40 minutes. Like, what is that?
That's what I'm saying. Like, again, they have a transitional phase where they kind of they slow down the pace of how they're playing. And their lead, they pretty much the way they win is getting a big enough lead and then trying to make the difference in Nukeduck's inability to play in the late game. Like they try and ignore that point of it. Xerxes is playing. Well, I mean, that's literally how Nukeduck. I mean, there's not been many teams where the mid laner, like jungle proximity, is pretty high in most.
Thank you, Nick. Xerxes somehow playing for Nukeduck, even if he's on tank in the mid lane. Yeah, like that is just a horrible way to play the game. Alfari's like up there in top lane playing on set. Xerxes on Trundle playing toward Orin mid. Like, what are you doing? Like, what the hell? Why would an Orin mid need your help when Orin can like one-shot ADCs? Like,
I mean, Orin is not the strongest. Like, he's not. Melees do kind of struggle in terms of early game against ranged ADC, ranged mid laners. That is a big thing that does happen. That's why they're not picked often. Plus, they don't usually have the ability to kill them. But at the same time, it's not like Set is just strong enough because his base resistance is on top of the fact his ability to clear under turret, which is why he doesn't suffer as much as some top laners do in the mid lane. Like, I think that, I mean, again,
the drafting phase is questionable too. Like, they're very predictable. It's like Origin is, Origin is that sandwich that you go and order at some fast food place where you get everything you want on it. It's the same sandwich you've been getting for like 10 plus years since you were a kid. It's the same sandwich your mom makes you. Origin is the sandwich that you always get and you already know what you're going to have on it. Or they're like the coffee that you know what you're going to get at Starbucks. You know how Starbucks and people always get the same coffee because they don't want to try anything new? Origin is the coffee that you always get, that your grandma would get, like black coffee. Origin is like black coffee. You know what you're going to get. You know what it tastes like. It's nothing new about it. We know these players.
That word.
What do you mean?
You really emphasize that word right there.
I'm just saying, the black coffee race. I'm just saying, Origin is literally food you've already eaten your whole life, and you know what you're getting out of them. I've seen nothing new from them. I thought getting Upset would basically push them to be as strong as Fnatic, because Upset showed a lot on Schalke, but I didn't get that from Upset. It's not that he's bad. I think he was a strong player for them. They just don't play towards him, and they pair him up with Destiny.
Yeah.
How you must hate your ADC if you give him an Oceanic support.
It just shows how good their star players are when they have, in my opinion, two pretty solid players and the rest of them are pretty average. And they still, in my opinion, still make this team more. Like, I don't want to say Nukeduck is average. I feel like I'm over exaggerating how my problems.
No, but you're not. Like, we're not though. Like, what has he shown?
I mean, he really,
it doesn't matter if he's solid. What has he shown? He gets every single draft resource Nukeduck gets. If Caps has a resource and he's shown he does get them, he wins the lane. He wins the game too.
Okay, Nukeduck does win lanes. I think that's unarguable. I mean, we've seen him win lanes against Caps before. I don't want to pretend that he's not good at the early game, because it's just unfair. He is good at the early game. My problem is that the difference between him and the Caps, again, is the late game presence that both of them have. Whereas I think that, like, Caps actually has one. Nukeduck does not very much, though. I have one. I mean, I think that they don't usually play like champions for him that actually scale well into the game. So, I mean, I think Origin is a solid team. I think they're going to get 5th place. They could easily
5th place. Holy crap, that is low.
I think that Misfits is 3rd place. That's why, and I'm putting Mad Lions above them. I think the one-dimensional play style, in my opinion, is not going to function very well towards the later half of the season. And I think the like Zerx, like I feel like the play style that Mad Lions has, I think it's a shock value kind of play style, and I think that they have the players to make it work. But I don't think it's going to stretch into a best of 5 in the playoffs, which is why I can't put them above Misfits, because I think Misfits has just a general better broad like team all around. I think they don't have the better players, but they have a more balanced play style with the players they have.
And you think they're more flexible too?
I do. I mean, I think the most important roles are jungle and mid, and I think both of them are pretty comparable. I think jungle mid lane is pretty in favor of Misfits, and jungle is like, I think it's really comparable in my opinion. I think the difference is not too, like, I still think Shadow. I don't know. I don't know who I'd put above.
Oh, I don't know. EU is really weird to rank because, like, there's so many good players, but then there's also good players that outdo the other good players, and then there's the average players that stick out. I think their average players stick out more because their other players are just that insane.
No, I don't disagree with that. I think that going based off the fact that they beat G2 in a best of 5 is true, but at the same time, I think that it is like they lost against Fnatic. I'm not going to try and say that.
I mean, they lost every best of 5 after that. They beat G2.
G2 it seemed to be functioning very, like, again, they didn't pick out the stuff they pulled against Fnatic because they didn't feel like they needed to. With the ability to drop into the losers bracket, they were comfortable with that. I mean, I'm not trying to say they lost on purpose, but at the same time, it didn't seem like they were playing to the full strength of their capabilities. Like, I think when they transitioned against Fnatic and pulling out the Kog'Maw consistently, it was pretty obvious that that was their actual designated playstyle. Like, I think that putting him on Kog'Maw was something that I actually, like, again, Kog'Maw is one of the ADCs that forces you to play the fundamentals of ADC, and it's a good way for anybody to learn how to play ADC because you can't rely on abilities to be able to win.
It's crazy though. Mythic knew they were gonna pick that. Chose not to ban it.
We probably saw it in like a stupid
Scrim.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say that Misfits Mad Lions is bad. I think you're misunderstanding me. I just think that their playstyle doesn't translate as well into the later half of the season when people are more.
I think they peaked. They peaked enough to beat G2, and then after
they're gonna get top
all
5
right.
regardless. They just have they have really good players. Their player
Yeah.
is their combination of players is some of the highest in the league. I mean, I think just potential wise, they have like 3 of the best potential players in the league on their team. But at the same time, I think the strengths like of their team is reliant more so on the fact that how Carzzy plays the game, and I think that with one of the best bot lanes in the league, I think that like teams like Misfits and what's it called, who have more than one lane to play through, because again, the only lane that you can really play through on Misfits on Mad Lions is bot lane. I think the other two players aren't bad, but like I don't think they're star players and able to take that mantle of playing through them instead. And I think that's going to be something that is going to be exploitable by some of the top teams, and that's why I don't think. Oh, what am I saying? You're right. They're going to make it to Worlds, but they're going to get 4th place. I'm not thinking right now.
Would you imagine a world where Origin goes to Worlds and has to face like top esports and gets just railed?
Not very. Yeah, I don't know why I forgot they were going to Worlds, but yeah, I think they're going to make it to Worlds as the number 4 seed, but I don't think they're going to beat what's it called. And on top of the fact, again, I don't think they'll do very well against the Chinese teams. I feel like that's something I will say, but that's really.
I don't think Origin will do well against the Chinese teams. I have faith that Mad Lions will at least try to do something.
Fast-paced, which is something that can throw anybody off their guard. I mean, I think that if the Chinese teams get beat in the early game, they do struggle. Like, it's not like the Korean teams of like 7 years ago, where like it was a slow strangulation even with you having the lead. Like these Chinese teams are beatable, and it's not like they're substantially above in terms of game sense. They just have insanely good players that most.
I mean, did you watch EDG versus Team World Elite? Like EDG were beating them early on, and then later on, Team World Elite team fought them.
EDG, the fact that again, first of all, they have a lot of rookies on the team now. There's a lot of players that just genuinely don't know how to transition. Like they don't have a shot caller on their team. Like they replaced their. What's up, Mako? Mako is the player on that team. I mean, I don't know if he was ever a shot caller before.
I mean, he's the team captain, so I mean, I'm pretty sure he has a lot to say.
He was not the team captain. That's what I'm saying. iBoy was the best player on that team. They replaced him. Like they replaced a lot of their best.
No, I'd say Scout was.
You're right, Scout.
Scout's been pretty good for. No one gives him credit though. Scout's been pretty good for a long time.
Shadow is Chinese. I agree with that, but I mean that really is. I don't know. I mean, I don't think like Shadow would succeed as well in China, is what I'm saying.
No, not even close. Man, he's alive.
Let's not exaggerate that much. I think Shadow is still a solid jungler. I mean, I think he'd be above middle of the pack there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's just. I think the crazy thing about China is how many good players they have right now. It's just incredible to me.
Oh, right. So top 2 teams. Everybody knows these top 2 teams. They're the biggest dynasty in EU. Either you're #always Fnatic or you're like me, #G2win, because second place is going to be Fnatic. So I think Fnatic undoubtedly has the best macro out of pretty much any team below them. They have some of the best game knowledge. They know how to win games. They know how to win level 1s. They know how to invade. They know how to do everything. But what's Fnatic's kryptonite? Hold on. Wait a minute. I'll get it right now. Wait a minute.
Bring out your D2 jersey. I'm leaving.
All right. This is their kryptonite right here.
Why?
G2 Army right here. The prestige MSI jersey where I predicted them to win the event and beat SKT. And everyone called me a fanboy. I ain't no fanboy, but I know how to predict teams to win.
How long will Fnatic need this time to ramp up?
They're going to be good right off the bat. I think they'll be good right off the bat. They're always usually pretty good right off the bat. They have that. He's talking about that one. He's talking about last year where they went like 0-4 for a little bit of time. That was only one split though. They usually start pretty strong.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think they usually are the superstars of the region, and that's why they play so well. But at the same time, I think that recency of the players that they've actually had on their team, they really have struggled in the early part of the season.
Because you have Bwipo, and Bwipo was, in my opinion, an MVP caliber player. I think Selfmade played really well. He has disagreements about his insect kicks for some reason, but I thought he was
I think the insect kicks in that specific game that I pointed out, which I don't even remember what game it was.
It was against G2.
I didn't really think they amounted to much, and I think they were kind of more so just putting himself out there more consistently than he should have. I don't remember what. It's been a long time since I watched that game. I don't remember.
It was Caps was on Senna.
No, I don't remember what the actual problems I had with the game were, but I remember the specific. Like I did have problems with this insects. I think a lot of them weren't really the what is it called? The result he was actually looking for when he actually started.
I mean, I'd say kicking in the ADC right to someone's team
I'm not
is
saying
pretty
all
good.
of them were bad, but I think a lot of them were pretty useless.
I think that when you have Red was Hill saying strong, solid bot lane, now they're flexible. They can play pretty much anything for what I saw. Their laning phase is improved. I mean, they just have this. They're just the second best team. Like they're better than all the other teams down below them. I maybe Mad could overtake them.
No, I don't agree with that in the slightest. I think that the problem with this is the fact that the weaknesses that Mad Lion has. I mean, I don't think they're better than Misfits, but at the same time, I think the problems that Mad Lions has is, again, they have one person to play through in the mid game. Like their mid game team fights is designated specifically towards the AD and the bot lane, and that's really their strength. That's the biggest strength they have, and I'm not sure how well that's going to succeed against Fnatic, who has probably every single lane they have the ability to play through now.
They're firing on all cylinders, though. Whipple, outside of that last final series, Fnatic was pretty strong all split, though. Like, people kind of rag on them for, like, the G2 series, because they only really ever lose to G2, really, and it makes them stand out a lot worse. But they had a pretty good split overall. Selfmade was pretty good. Whipple was pretty good. Whipple knows how to team fight really well. I think they have a strong team. You can always play through Reckless. You can always count on him. Like, Nemesis, I didn't even bring up him yet. Really good all split. You know, he had some games where he was like kind of suspect, but I thought he played pretty well. Like, they have a really strong team. They should not be ashamed of getting second place when you have G2 with superstars. Like, that's telling in it of itself. You're getting second place when that team has literally the best player in each role. I mean,
I want to point again. I think the big problem with Fnatic still, again, what Nick pointed out is the inconsistencies on too many of their players. Early game junglers, in my opinion, pretty much every early game jungler you can look at in the world has a problem with inconsistencies because there's so many things going on in the jungle that can change at the you have to react to stuff that you can't see, and that's the problem with the jungle. Yeah, like if you're not able to do that, no one's able to do it constantly. But at the same time, that's the problem with jungle, and that's why I can see the inconsistencies between them. But the Hill is saying inconsistencies are the biggest problem for me. Like, there's absolutely no reason he should get caught out as much as he does. Like,
how do you play that? How are you that good at the game and you don't? And how? It makes no sense, though.
Hillisang is one of the biggest problems with this team, and it's why I just have less faith in them than I should. Because again, he is the most inconsistent player that I consider elite in the world. Like, he's like when he's on point, I think he's incredibly good. But like that, there's just so many games where he's just mindlessly walking into mid lane, getting caught out, and all that stuff. And it's not mechanical misplays sometimes; it's just him not paying attention. Like,
I mean, you have to create opportunities for your team in the early games. You know, you have to.
He's just getting caught out, man. There's absolutely no other. Just tell me a player who has these types of problems that he does at being at his level. No one. This is something that no one struggles with besides him for some reason. Like, it's just. It's like, yeah, exactly. He's one of the best. It's crazy to me. He can literally throw a game away like crazy.
I mean, I don't want to put I think people see it in a weird way. I see it differently. Like, he has to do something, but he's doing things.
The problem is you're giving him a little bit too much credit. God, my nose is just so much, man. Like, you give him a little bit too much credit. Like, he literally throws games away consistently because of the fact that he genuinely, his grasp of the game is so, like, I don't really know what it is. He sees opportunities, and when the opportunity is saw, he's going to go for it, and there's nothing that's stopping him. It's the most mind-numbingly stupid way to play the game, and I hate saying that about him, but he's just, like, it's not like his game sense is not there fully. Like, it's like, plays present themselves to him, and he's going to go for them because that's just what he does. And that's one of the biggest problems with him.
He's just either he's the reason why you win a game or lose a game is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what that's what it is. That's the same thing with Selfmade last year.
I think Selfmade was more you're talking when he's on SK, yeah. I mean, like, you have to understand it from his point of view. If you don't create any situations, then how are you going to win?
I think giving excuses to somebody because their mindset is in the right place is stupid. everybody's mindset can be in the right place, but if you're the problem and the reason they lose, you're still the reason they lost, regardless of where your heart was when you did it.
I mean, we don't know if they're telling him to go in. We don't know
No,
if
they're
they...
not. It's not something you do. Like playmaking supports when they present them. So the way he plays, he's doing it himself. This is all him doing it. Sometimes he's just literally walking blindly into stuff, and no one's telling him to do that. No one's saying, "Hey, go face check that bush without any wards and tell me if you find anybody in there." He is doing it himself, and that's the problem.
Well, supports usually face check first anyway. Like if you have a roaming duo 2v2, you're going to be going in first.
You don't face check anything ever. You never.
How are you going to get vision if you don't face check?
What? Wait, in what world is that okay? You wait until you see the jungler on the map, and then you go up. You don't just walk in the bush because we need to see this bush right now. You have to have patience. That's the reason you can't just walk up and get deep vision, because you can't just go places that you don't see.
You can be deep in my vision.
I don't like that. I don't like you saying that to me.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. It just depends on. I don't know. I think you are getting like the wrong.
No one's getting the wrong impression. What his abilities and what he attempts to do are very apparent. It's the problem is also his mistakes are very apparent too. And I really like giving excuses at this level is ridiculous. Like at his potential at that point, like you can't say he's not a fault here.
I'm just saying that there's certain things that we like. Imagine having a game plan and you have to have a certain champion do something, and he's the person that's benefiting from all the blame.
I don't understand. They have self-made. It's not like they don't have aggressive people who roam around the map already. He just takes it upon.
What would you rather have him do?
I'd rather have him if you don't see somebody, don't just walk into places, and don't just go for every single thing you see that is a possibility that could work out in the future. Because if you take dangerous choices and they don't work out, you literally throw your team behind. There's whether or not, if this doesn't work out, what are the negatives to it?
I mean, he gets replaced next year.
No, I'm saying in this specific play he tries to make.
Like on Nautilus, he does this a lot where he tries to go for every single hook imaginable if he hooks the ADC. Like, is that a bad idea?
You don't just go for ADC hooks consistently. Like, again, there are specific times where Nautilus cannot go for it. Like, if he sees it open, like, if you don't see where the jungler is, you're going to lose that fight. Like, that's the reason, and that's why when the opportunity presents himself, he can't control it. He's not smart when it comes to game sense. He's literally just able to see plays. He has a really good eye for like seeing plays before, like how to make them happen.
That's crazy though. A lot of people said he was one of the best support players in the world.
No, I don't think I've ever agreed with that. I think that on his good games, I could see that happening. On his bad games, inconsistencies are the reason why you can't rate him high. Like, again, I don't want to talk about only like Hillsing, but I think he's the most volatile player on this team, and he's the biggest reason. He's the biggest definition of their success and their non-success. Like Whippo, again, I think he's played incredible this year. He's a lot better than he was last year, but at the same time, like that doesn't amount to as much. Like, you can't just say, like, you can't. What am I'm trying to say? He doesn't always, like, again, he doesn't get bad picks. It's not like they play around him consistently. And he's like last year. I think that he was forced onto tank duty more often because he consistently lost lanes that he shouldn't have. Alfari schooled him every single time, and Alfari wasn't playing that well. Cavachard was manhandling him. Odoamne was beating him pretty consistently.
He makes the most out of all the bad situations you give him. So, like, if you give him a tank and it's weak side, he'll make the most out of it, and solo carry sometimes. I think
that a problem that I saw last year was inconsistencies in laning phase, and he's really stepped up this year. I think he's winning a lot more lanes than he used to. But again, I mean, he's not won every single, like, he's not winning lanes always against players.
But that's not the only thing you need out of him. I think he team fights very well. I think he always.
I'm just pointing out some flaws that I see in him, because there are flaws in everybody.
But if you guys didn't already guess, the first place team is G2. I mean, if you don't have G2 at first place, you're trolling. I mean,
they tried to make it to where they could swap up on a dime and have a different player playing in each position. And I just genuinely think that Perks plays mid lane worse than Caps. There's no reason to have him there, and Caps plays bot lane worse, and there's no reason you can have him there. Like, there's literally you gain nothing for swapping him off. I did not like the transition. I thought it was maybe its spring split didn't matter at all. So it's a good reason to try it out. And it didn't work out. It was a good choice to make it happen. But now that you've seen that it doesn't work, don't try it again. I don't think he should ever go back bot. I think that his value in mid lane is too high.
I think they're even better with this back. Like Perks was already considered by like some analysts to be a world-class bot laner. So if you factor in if he's a world-class bot laner back in the same position, and he already established he can play it really well, and Caps
in the bot lane pretty well. I don't think his ADC skills are as good.
But like if that's not his strength, I don't want him on those things because that means you're gonna lose games. Like why pick games on things you're weaker?
I'm not disagreeing with that at all. Again, I've talked about this many times. I think that it's not his strengths, and he brings a different aspect to the game where like ADCs who can play mid laner, mages pretty well, don't play mages as well as he does. Like he plays like that, but at the same time, like when you're forced into a con that has like against like a major large amount of tanks, like there's not really much he can provide, and that's why I did have a problem with him in the bot lane. But again, like it's not like he's bad in the bot lane. I think his ability to play mages is still credible. Like he still plays some ADCs pretty well. Like it's not like he's useless. He's pretty solid all around.
Is there any chance Fnatic wins a split with G2 at this peak?
I don't think so. I mean, again, it really has to. G2 has to fall off a cliff. There has to be some inner turmoil because they still have top two players at each position, regardless of the situation. So it's kind of hard for me to swap out of that.
Yeah, even if Wonder is not even a standout player, he's still one of the best in his position. Even that's crazy in and of itself. Like that's just Yanko's MVP again. That is like what? I mean, he had a great split too. So I mean, it's not saying I chose Bwipo and Alfari, but Yankos also was in the MVP running for me too.
A lot of things that I've said consistently. The most important, the most like imperative, or what is it called? The most important piece to this team, I'll just say important, is gonna be Yankos. Yankos is the defining piece of why this team plays the way it does. The most important role right now in the game. Like all around, I think Yankos plays the game. I mean, if Yankos isn't on this team, I don't think I would consider them. But like, if you swapped, no, it's not really a swap thing. But again, I think that
if Yankos retires and they get self-made,
the role that he plays on the team is pretty much definitive on why they're able to play the way they do. And I think that it's a reason why I would put him at MVP pretty much every year because he is the defining. Like again, Caps is definitely important, but without Yankos, I don't think this type of G2 exists.
Shout outs to Perks today. He put on Twitter that his dad passed away, so I just want to say, man, sorry about that. I know how that feels. Sorry you had to go through that, and I'm still hoping for G2 to win, but just want to send my condolences. That is very, very sad. Obviously, if you guys are watching this point in the video, make sure you spend time with your loved ones because you never know when they're actually going to be gone. Nick says G2 control all split and still win it easily. Like people say EU is good, and I want to believe you. I really do. But when you have a team that is borderline basically swapping players to different roles and winning splits, that, you know.
I'll point out, I think that if we look at G2, the world class, I genuinely think they made it. I think Korea should have the 4 spots because they have the better region all around. But G2 earned that spot for it's literally like
Fnatic did too.
Not really.
From the 2018 Worlds Finals finish too.
I don't care about that. I didn't care too much about that reason.
So mean. God damn.
Single worst team that's made the finals, and I'm still gonna keep saying that.
My lord. I think you're mad because your predictions were wrong.
Tell me a team that's in the finals that has been worse than them, and I'll agree with you.
Good lord. Anybody from season 1? TSM?
Okay, we're not. TSM never made the finals.
I mean, it's not Zubu Frost. Who was pretty bad?
Let's just say season 5 and be past. How about that? Because that's that's modern league right there. Like I don't like to trash talk Fnatic, but
you could say Samsung Galaxy. You could because Samsung Galaxy, certain times during their runs in certain years, did not look that good. Yeah, they peaked always at Worlds. They always peaked at Worlds. It was never during the split.
I mean, I don't know what you're saying. You're saying the team at Worlds. I'm saying specifically the team in the finals.
Oh, I mean, I think you're just. I mean I think that's just recency bias, though.
Tell me a team that's a bit worse than them. I don't like the trash talk Fnatic, But if you can't tell me a team, then it really does prove my point. Like, I don't like the fact that like EU has that fourth spot because again, I think Korea does have the better fourth team to send. But at the same time, like it makes sense why they would get it because they did succeed a lot more recently. I just think that all around, I think that G2 is pretty much pushing, like what's it called?
The narrative that EU is stronger than the LCK.
I mean, I think so. I mean, again, it really technically it is because G2 is an EU team and they're pretty much all EU players, so there's can't really much you can argue about that. But
you know what? Swap out Mickey X and put freaking Limit on this team.
Who?
Put Limit from SK Gaming on this team. He's a support.
I mean, I wouldn't say consistently clapped by Fnatic. Fnatic did win 2 of the games against them. I think it was moderately close against them that year. I agree with 2018. I think no one was prepared for the meta shift in like towards that year.
But it's hard to say though. A team taking advantage of something that's still taking away from how good they played though. Like it's.
I'm just saying. I'm literally all I was saying was I don't think that the 2018 was as good as like the 2019 G2 and all that stuff. I don't think they were as good, but again, they made it to finals, so I can't really argue too much about them. I just think that
oh no, they were looking pretty suspect against EDG. I don't know about that.
The transition in the meta with how drastically it changed and flipped on its head, no one was prepared for that year. And I do think they were the best. Like I don't want to say they're best prepared, but still, like
I mean, I can't take that and apply that. You know,
I agree that Korea hasn't adapted to the meta shift, but at the same time, I don't think I could say the fourth team in Korea is nearly as good as the fourth team in China. In Korea. Like in EU, like the fourth team in EU is as good as the fourth team in Korea. We could make speculations. I do think it's mostly based off G2. Again, I don't want to say Fnatic is bad, but
I'm just saying Fnatic made that push first for them in 2018. But G2 also beat RNG. G2 got top 4 too during that year.
That was big thing that year. They were able to beat RNG, who was speculated to win Worlds that year, which was surprising to me.
Perk stopped Uzi from winning the title he was supposed to. That's crazy, and he had a great Worlds performance, man. He was great.
Again, that year, the second best team in the world. Who do you think it was?
KT Rolster.
The first
at
team
Worlds.
To make that personality. The first team to make that. If you want my actual opinion, the first team to make that push was Misfits. Misfits was when they took SKT to Game 5 and they kind of shifted the narrative.
Almost won.
That was a terrible SKT. I'll be real with you. God,
that SKT might have been the worst to be in the finals.
The single worst iteration. I agree. That is the worst team to make the finals.
Bro, we literally saw Bang shoot an ADC away at point blank range when he could have killed him.
That is probably the worst team to make the finals right there.
I don't say. See, the thing with the Vitality push, I don't know. Technically they were the first. No, you have Misfits, or if you want to go all the way back, you had Fnatic that made that push though. They took SKT to 5 games in Season 5 MSI.
See, the problem was, it was still showed how dominant SKT was that year because they weren't able to transition that into later half. The way SKT, Korea has always worked.
Hold on, talk to them for a few minutes. I go to the bathroom.
Thank you. Korea has always been slow at adapting to the meta, and that's the biggest problem they've always had. And this meta is just, I just don't understand. Like, it's just so confusing to them. They have not made a transition into playing this well. Like, it's not like they have worse players or anything. They just don't play as well, and they just don't. They used to have the best drafting phase. Now they have one of the worst. Like, it's just like I don't know. Do they want to? They want to consistently play the game that like it used to be able to, like they used to. But it's just not going to happen anymore. Again, I don't think like Korea as a whole is great. I still don't think it's nearly as good as it was in its prime. But I don't think it is nearly as bad as people make it out to be. I think getting clapped by G2 is going to happen to pretty much every single team in the world besides like the top Chinese teams, the very top ones. Korea's only good if they can plan out everything top to bottom. You know what? I think they've made a really good transition this year. I really do think people are going to be surprised. I think they're going to have a lot better time at Worlds this year than they did the previous 2 seasons because they did seem, if we even look at the cup they had against China, they made drastic changes in how they approached the game. They're faster paced and they didn't pan out, but at the very least you saw changes. You saw the way they were playing was differently. SKT pretty much won every single early game against the most out of the 4 teams there, probably the 2 fastest paced teams.
Mhm.
Like, you can't deny the fact that SKT really did change how they play the game, but at the same time, it's not about that always. Like, they obviously couldn't consistently get it down, and we don't know if they're going to get it down by Worlds. But I do think they took a good step towards making it work. That's all I'm saying.
The thing is that I would still say that Samsung Galaxy team that Worlds was just weak. I mean, not Worlds was weak. That Samsung Galaxy team.
I really think you underestimate how well thought out their macro sense. Like it's not just that. I mean, my big problem was mid lane, and I think that their mid lane pool was pretty terrible. But I mean, they all around the map, they had some of the best players at their position. I mean,
it's for me. It's for me. It's that Samsung, like they peaked always at Worlds though. They never really were good in the region though.
It's not about that. I mean, it's just at that point in time, it was a slow build up, and they methodically played out. Their Worlds play was pretty incredible. In my opinion, I still think it was.
I'm not saying they weren't good at Worlds. It's just like it's hard for me to say were they a good team, and like I literally seen them most of the year just be bad. That's the worst part about it.
They literally just were outshone by a few of the other teams that year. I mean, I really think they knocked down how the ability sense, the macro sense of the game should have been. I mean, I think they might have had a very comparable grasp to the meta to 2015 SKT, but at the same time, they just didn't have as good players all around. I think
oh my God, QV. How did he fall off? No, yeah, he was so good. At coming out party at Worlds 2016. Oh my God, he was so good.
That's the only year he came out. He went straight back into where
But I just don't like it. G2, could they win Worlds this year? If there's a team that can win Worlds, I think it's them.
Who?
For the West, I think if there's a team that can win it for like the West overall, or if you also say EU, I think G2. This is the best Western team we've ever had, and if they don't win Worlds, that goes to show you how strong the other Eastern teams are. Like if they can't win Worlds from the best Western players, yikes! That means we're never winning.
I'm pointing out right now that Sven and Vulcan are just giving me so much hope in Cloud9 that I just like. As much as I think that Niski and Blab are going to get dumpstered at Worlds, I just have so much faith in them right now. Like, and I think Licorice is that solid foundation where they can play around specific other people.
Licorice, Sven, and Vulcan are not the players anybody should be worried about. Like for Cloud9, if you're thinking about them surviving in group stages, like the way they would get out of group stage is they would. I don't know. They can get out of group stage this year. I think last year they just had Sneaky and Zazel at Worlds, and it was like, lol, I guess, But I think Cloud9 is getting out of groups this year. I think they have a solid, great foundation that they're building on.
I would like to see what the group looks like first, but I definitely think it's possible.
G2 would try using C9 to top their fast. Dude, they're both my teams. Don't say that. If G2 and... Oh, no.
Underestimating the play style, like... I do like G2, and I really do. I mean, you're trying to. I feel like pretending that Cloud9 wouldn't be second place in Fnatic. I mean, in EU is a little bit crazy.
I think they'd be about third or fourth.
I think they would be second at the least. I mean, I think that.
Oh, Fnatic?
Yeah, I do think they're better than Fnatic. I think Fnatic is.
And Origin?
Definitely over Origin. I don't even think Origin's fourth place. I mean, I think that. Again, I don't want to make too many crazy assumptions because I do think they're pretty slow paced. But the reactionary play style that they do have, there's not really a team like them in the world, and it's not like the slow paced reactionary play that the Koreans did play for all these years, because they actually do force kind of like squabbles in the river. But the problem with this playstyle is that I don't think it would work against G2 because G2 genuinely just has way better players than them in the positions that they're going to.
That's the thing, though, is that Cloud9 is also good, but G2's players are just better. And not even in every position, though.
No, I'm not talking about G2. I think G2 is better than them. I think Fnatic. We're talking about Fnatic, Joseph. Yeah, we're talking about Fnatic. So Fnatic, I think Fnatic has a worse bot lane. I just I genuinely think that's the case here. I think mid lane, I mean, I don't really think it's that big a deal. I mean, I think Nemesis is definitely better, but
Niski's definitely stepped up, actually.
Drastically. I mean, self-made just dumpsters Blabber, so I'm not going to pretend that doesn't exist. I'm going to point out that I think that Bwipo and Licorice is not as big as people make it out to be, because,
Sven Revenge. Yeah, that'd be a fun match to watch.
It's a drastic thing, and I do think that Sven is the best Western ADC right now. And I think that's I genuinely think Cloud9 has the best bot lane in the West, and I think that's something a lot of people aren't going to agree with. But I mean,
they're both my teams, Nick. I don't want them facing and watching Cloud9 beat G2. I don't want to watch that.
like,
But I like them both. But like people ask me, who do I think would win if they went to MSI? I still would say G2.
I'm just shooting for the fact that I do think Cloud9 is in second place in the EU pretty substantially. I think they are a step up above EU. Fnatic pretty okay.
That's the hottest take you've ever. Guys. He's made some hot takes before.
That's
a hot take.
Consistently beat the second place team in the EU. That's not crazy.
I mean, that wasn't the case for past splits in past years.
There's been years where I think that 2016 TSM I think was better than everybody in EU, and I'll still.
And there's people that predicted TSM 2016 to beat SKT.
Probably in both, but the rest of their teams, I don't think so. I actually don't think that I think people underestimate how good Vulcan is. I mean, maybe I'm not gonna say anything crazy. I think Vulcan genuinely has an incredibly good grasp on how to play support, and I think he's been one of the best. He was by far the single best support in NA, and I think that Kaiser being in EU makes it hard for me to say like how close it is. I'd really like to see them face off, but I genuinely think that Cloud9 has the best bot lane. I really don't think it's close.
I think Licorice easily beats a Rome. Like, that's not even close.
Well, yeah, I'm not trying to compare those two teams. Cloud9 would probably beat them pretty easily. But
easily, but they would definitely give them a run for their money because Humanoid and Nemesis are about the same. Humanoid and Nemesis are pretty much right there. I mean,
Humanoid and Niski, I think Niski's better than him. I genuinely think that Sven is a lot better than people are making it out to be.
Sven was your MVP, so
Sven was my MVP. I think he is the best ADC in the West. I think he's one.
I was right about something too. Blabber God, Nightwing Damas. Or no, I should make my own slogan for being right all the time. I'm a genius. I said freaking Niski was the MVP. Blabber said out of his own mouth, Niski should be an MVP.
I don't care what he says. That doesn't make it right.
If the person who just won MVP says I shouldn't have got it, my other teammate should have got it.
It's literally something people say to build a team. It happens all the time. You take everything at face value because somebody says it. And
I'm just saying.
No, I'm just saying.
You just say, I deserved it.
No, it's stupid.
Niski should have got MVP. He was the best player on the team.
He was the fourth best player on that team. Zen was better than him. Vulcan was better than him. Licorice was better than him.
Niski created opportunities for them to always do something. He was always more or less winning his lane. He always roamed effectively. He always team fought correctly.
More or less win his lane. That's incredibly wrong.
What games were you watching?
Okay. He did not win consistently middle. He usually won against skirmishes, and that transitioned into a team lane win. He did not usually get up in CS until past the 5-minute mark. Like that's consistently, that's probably just genuinely the case. That's my opinion on it. But again, I think that Licorice is the only reason why he's not rated the single best top laner by far is because every single game he gets weak side and does not get as much attention.
To be fair, he won all team first pro. People do notice him being good.
Good, but he's underestimated still, even though he's first place. Like, I think
that's not good for some days. They said someday should have been there, and Licorice beat his ass the next day. What kind of karma is that? That's just crazy. People,
I mean, no one's denying that. I think that there's no denying the two best bot lanes in the West are these two bot lanes. I think Sven and Vulcan are better, but that's just because I think their impact on the later half of the game is substantial. Like Sven is the single best ADC late game. Sven is the best scaling ADC in the West. He was and his ability, he's still good in the early game too. Like his ability to play Kalista, he really is he's the only ADC that I can see affect every single aspect of the game. And Vulcan is one of the best playmaking supports not in the world. But
imagine to even consider two rookies playing with Crazy and Karzi to be even the best Western bot lane. That alone is already crazy. They still have enough. They still have so much to improve. No, that's true.
I agree
that's true.
With that.
They're very strong.
My problem is that I don't see. I really put so much emphasis on Vulcan because I really think he's incredible. I think Kaiser. That's the closest one I would say. Like Sven, Vulcan and Kaiser are extremely close in my opinion. I think we're really not seeing it shine because of the fact that he's not the main playmaker on the team, but he genuinely does know how to play that role. But I think in a better position we'd see it more often. But there's less like focal points on Mad Lions, so you get to see Kaiser stand out a little more often. But
I think the real test for C9 is if they can beat Origin, which is considered a pretty standard team. If they can beat Origin, they can beat the other teams, though. Maybe G2. Out of all, you need the most fierest draft I can ever think of. You need to have all lanes on winning matchups. If you have any one of them on a weak side matchup, you're getting destroyed.
I think the difference between G2 and Cloud9, I mean, it should be different, but unless they scrim against each other, I think Cloud9 will have a pretty substantial time against them because
Caps is just much better than Niski. Caps is just a much better player, though.
There's a lot of mid laners. Like at the West, Niski's going to be one of the worst mid laners there. At the Worlds,
you know, my opinion. I think being at Worlds the first time, a lot of players do choke, and I want to see him one more time at Worlds. I want to see him one more time. I'm not denying his performance.
Yeah, like I've literally said, I think Doublelift, even though he's played poorly at the international tournaments, is definitely towards a pretty decently capable international player. And so I said that with Bjergsen, he's struggled a little bit. But I don't say that with Niski because his play, I mean, I could point out every single region, like the mid laners that Korea is going to send, Faker, maybe Showmaker, and Chovy are all substantially better than him.
Yeah, but this is the thing you're not factoring in. They're not all going to face him, though.
The only reason I'm pointing this out is because I'm going to go through the list of mid laners.
Okay.
So we're going to go to China, which is Rookie,
Yagao, Doingbi,
and Doingbi. And I think they're all better than him. Doingbi is just a better version of him. If we go to mid lane, if we go to EU, Caps is better than him. And then that's where he's the bottom three of the major regions.
I mean, but this is my thing is we saw him once at Worlds be bad, and a lot of players at Worlds are bad. Like their first year going in, some people choke and it's like really bad, right?
So the inferences based off his play at Worlds. I don't care about that. That's not what I'm putting into fact.
No.
I don't care.
But that's what I'm basing that off too. But the issue here is he's learned a lot since then. So I'm taking this as
I genuinely don't care. Like if that last year didn't happen, my opinion of him would still be the same. He's not international caliber because all these mid laners that I played, you can't even argue they're worse than him.
I'm not saying he's not international caliber. What I'm saying is we don't know what the meta for Worlds is going to look like. So he could peak and be really strong at Worlds.
Meta does he succeed at that any of these mid laners aren't better?
He succeeded in this one. So what I'm saying is like
this is the worst mid lane pool I've ever seen in the world.
I was saying, like, certain players do well at specific events.
You have to. I'm saying no hypotheticals. Do you think he's internationally caliber? Don't put anything into maybe this happens. Just say yes or no. That's all I want to hear. I don't really like. Do you think he's an international caliber mid laner?
I mean, I think there's potential there. I would say.
I really like he's been in the league for like 4 years now, dude. He's been there for a long time now. It's not like he's new to this.
This is the only decent team he's actually had. Like,
decent. I mean, he showed his potential back when he was playing on what's it called.
People thought he wouldn't get better though, and he got better.
Really solid in EU. I mean, his first year in NA, he was substantially worse than he was in EU. This year he's bounced back, and I think he's playing mechanically as good as he did that year. But he's very drastic. His mechanics have not improved. I'm not going to say that. His game sense is what improved, in my opinion. And I really do think that's one of the most impressive things about it is the transition from a mid lane, kind of pretty decently, slightly above average mid laner, laning wise, to somebody who is more impactful around the map. And I want to say that is a really good gradual change in him, but he's still going to be the weak point of this team going into Worlds, him and Blabber. And I think that's unarguable. They're still Origin will not make Worlds. I think that's the case. I'm not going to say it's impossible though, but
Origin's getting in the last spot.
Maybe.
I don't think they'll do well at Worlds. Even if they're there, I don't think they're going to do well, but they'll get there. That's a participation trophy. I mean, I don't know. I don't like to put asterisks on certain things. Like for each international tournament, metas are different. Like
it's not just international tournaments. I mean, they're just based off the caliber of the player, based off his potential. It's not as high as the rest of them, and It's just genuinely, I don't think you can just say that it's not the case because, I mean, like, there's a lot of play. I don't see how Origin wins a best of 5. They just, I mean, the one-dimensional play style and not better players than the top teams. They're not going to make it very far if they make it at all. So, like, the later half of the season.
I mean, who was the top 4 team?
They're definitely going to beat Rogue. They're definitely going to beat Rogue in a best of 5. I don't see them losing to them, but I don't see them beating.
Origin beat Rogue in the best of 5. Origin beat Rogue in the best of 5. This split, though. This is the playoffs.
I just said that. I just said I.
No, I was replying to him.
Yeah, I'm just saying he doesn't see how they win unless it's unless it's Rogue. He's saying that Rogue is the one they're going to beat, and Rogue is going to be that last place playoff team that everybody's going to hope they get to face, and that's just what it is.
I don't know. Would you say Sven is better than Upset?
I do. I genuinely think Sven is substantially better than Upset. He's a better version of Upset because he plays better in the late game, but at the same time, he knows how to play early game centric ADCs like Callista. Callista is the main defining early game ADC like that and like a Lucian and stuff. Like, Sven is better than him. I think that if they went onto the international stage, they both do pretty well. But I think that Sven is just substantially better. I've never seen them play against each other. I haven't seen Upset and an international tournament. I still think that's the case. I don't have to base it off of him going to an international tournament and seeing his results first. I base it off their play at the position what they're in. And if he plays better than I've ever seen him play, that's just what happens.
That is a hot take this man has. Basically, Sven over everybody.
I really.
If you love him so much, why don't you go marry him?
I don't agree with that. I mean, who really from NA is good besides at Cloud9? That's what it like. Everybody is gonna hope that they get Cloud9 in their group. I mean, one of the NA teams. Like, unless this TSM team somehow just makes a dramatic comeback and they're incredible, I don't see anything happening.
Somehow Bjergsen can play more than one style. Somehow Doublelift is freaking like Sven level again, and somehow Biofrost is,
your inability to see that Bjergsen plays many different styles. That's not the problem with Bjergsen. It's the
or like the junglers, they don't freaking know what they're always do.
The fact that they're junglers, like, just think about it. There's only one. NA is the worst region out of the major regions, and I think that's very obvious. That's the case. I don't think anybody can argue that. It's almost always been the case, except for like, no. I mean, even
maybe season 6.
Season 6 only was TSM though. Was the problem?
No. CLG beat G2 4 times in 1 year. Remember? CLG beat them both times at MSI, and then CLG beat them both times at Worlds. And then TSM beat Splice 2 times.
I mean, again, I don't think CLG was better than G2 that year. I think they were close, maybe.
They beat them. They beat them 4 times in a row. That is.
I don't really want to say too much on that. I mean, maybe.
I don't know. Like, they beat them 4 times in a row. Like, you could say they're.
MSI was not a realistic expectation for that CLG. They never played.
They still won.
No, I'm not going based off. I'm not results based. They were not.
What do you mean results based? They won convincingly every single time they played against G2.
The first 2 times at MSI, I don't count that too much. Again,
all right, so what about the 2 times at Worlds where they won convincingly?
I really don't know how they beat them at Worlds. It still boggles my mind because that's
G2. Sven didn't understand it either. I was like, how do we lose this dog shit team?
Turning into an NA tier list. We talked about what's it called for 2 hours for EU.
Yeah, people are lucky. We rarely get to talk about EU actually.
Talked about EU for 2 hours, man. I get it, and honestly, like, I don't remember how we transitioned from making fun of Korea. I'm talking about Korea's ability to match up against EU to then and then
she's talking about world class.
Yeah, and that's just how it happened. Like, I'm not going to go into FlyQuest and all that stuff. We're not going to go in depth with it.
We will have tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll do our LCS power rankings. Tomorrow's the LCS power rankings. I did the one with my podcast today. They think that having Spica will lower TSM's ceiling. That's the idea.
No one disagrees with that. My least favorite thing about it was the fact that like, people are trying to trash Dardoch for 90% of the stuff that went wrong with TSM. And
I mean,
again, tell me what you think went wrong with Dardoch.
He's either the reason why they won or lost. Now, hear me out.
With that.
Okay, so either he made super aggressive moves in team fights, gets caught out in a team fight, dies consistently, and they lose a team fight. He's either a reason why they had a gold lead, kind of like a NA version of Hylissang. He's kind of a reason why you win a game or lose a game.
The problem with that is they would be slow, snail-paced if he didn't exist. If they had a slow-paced jungler, it would all be laning phase until mid-game.
I know, but
that's the reason.
That's the
That is
caveat of
all
playing on
there is.
TSM, though.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I don't think Dardoch was bad. I mean, I think that he made a lot of mechanical misplays, but he really did make a lot of good choices besides that. I mean, he kind of sometimes ran it down mid. I really think this is his worst year, though. I still think this is an outlier in his career. But, yeah.
But yeah, tomorrow is our LCS power rankings. I have mine already set, so before tomorrow, I know he's gonna put TSM number 1. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, you definitely don't think that.
Oh my god, I actually do. That's a sad thing.
You already know that I hate TSM now.
Oh my lord! Like literally one jungle change. They still have 4 strong other players.
No, they're
Double F is potentially a top 2 ADC. Bjergsen potentially top 3 mid laner. Broken Blade top 3 top laner. Biofrost top 3 support.
There's absolutely no reason to change the jungle. I mean, even if you don't like, unless there's some like they're literally fist fighting in the backyard. But Spica is an upgrade over Nova. I literally could go in there with Thresh jungle, and
Oh
at
my
the very
lord!
least, in the early game, and even if it's by dying 15 times.
Yeah, like, okay, so here's what I'll say. If they had internal issues where Dardoch was being toxic, it's right to change him. It doesn't matter if he's
I think that the fact that they introduced that he was toxic a second because they are one of the few teams with actual synergy. The problem is that they just genuinely have the worst players out of the top teams. They were able to get together because they had a good grasp of the meta, but that's really all that there is for FlyQuest. They're just not that good. And that's my big problem with them.
For TSM to win, they need Lenvo to spoil their opponent's strategies to them.
Who's Lenovo?
Holy, Lenovo's their PC sponsor.
I don't know who. Oh, I don't care about that.
Remember how Lena said the reason why her conversation got out was because of the Lenvo PC that Double F had?
know anything about that, and I just genuinely remember that stuff getting out.
No, like here, I'll say it from both.
I'm understanding.
I'll say it from both perspectives. If Dardoch was toxic, let's say he was, I mean, like, why would you not change him though? Like,
I will agree with that. If he was toxic, it makes sense. But at the same time, it seems like they introduced the toxicity, and it never came out until the moment
they didn't want it to come out though.
No. You're not understanding. Why would it come out the moment they seem like they're the bag? It seems like they said it immediately when they become the person that ruined Dardoch's career to save their person, like save their standing in the community. Like if it had been something, they could have quietly done all this stuff. They try to get rid of him. I understand, but at the same time, like it genuinely came out immediately. Like it wasn't. It's like they no longer cared about hiding it the moment that he got in trouble. I mean, they got in trouble. It's just like, if that was the reason you're doing it, just keep doing it. Why do you need to say it at all? They're literally only introducing it to the public because they don't want to look bad. Like, they gain nothing from it besides the fact that people look at them better. Right?
I mean, okay, here's what I'll say about that. If you reveal it, then they'll have to admit it was a mistake picking him up, though.
I don't think anybody cares about that. I don't think anybody cares
because people knew this going in that he has attitude issues. They knew this going in.
He looked great on what's it called?
Optic?
And I think the last time he had attitude issues was on CLG years ago. And even then, I genuinely don't believe it. I still don't believe that.
But then you also had the thing where it's like, if he doesn't fit the team's playstyle, then keeping him is only hindering you. Like, that is indirectly hindering you, though.
Is their playstyle, and I don't understand. Their early game-centric playstyle, even if he was playing bad, he fit it perfectly. Their playstyle was genuinely so molded with him.
Here was a couple comments from Reddit. Here's what someone said. Dardoch barely... Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't do justice to how... It doesn't do justice to just how bad Dardoch was. Dardoch threw nearly every early game. If the team was ahead, he'd dive 1v5 and get blown up instantly. If they were behind and looking for a pick, he'd dive 1v5 and die instantly. There's no way to make an honest argument that it wasn't his fault 9 times out of 10. Imagine how toxic it would feel watching your jungler nosedive every game, and when you're winning, you just know a Dardoch throw is coming at some point.
Okay, I'm going to point out right now.
Just needed Double Lift to take out the trash. Oh my god.
That's one of the worst takes possible, and that's why I don't listen to this, because when you focus, yeah, it might be funny, but it's very do you think that it has any validity?
I mean, sometimes he did die randomly. He did do that.
I think the problem is that people with little knowledge to actual understand the macro sense of the game, or the macro side of the game, can't understand what at the very least he was attempting to do. And he did make a lot of mistakes. I agree with that. It was one of his worst years. I agree. But at the same time, it's like when you can only focus on the weaknesses of a player, because
You're not focusing on the strong suits.
No, it's just they're focusing on the plays that happen and not the things leading up to the plays. And that's the difference maker between
like a cause and effect. They think A causes B causes C, but you didn't. Yeah. Well, this guy replied to him. And he said Dark was also the only reason why they were ahead in any early game. Though, if you replace him for a dog shit jungler who doesn't even have a jungler early game, they're just going to be worse. Like, TSM are in this thing. They have a coin flip jungler, but if you replace this coin flip jungler, you have a shitty jungler. So what do you do?
So let's think of it like this. I mean, if you want to point out TSM should have get what's it called? I think at this point in time, with the youth of the LCS system. Like, I think it's a little bit early. I think that would have happened in one of the major regions. They wouldn't suspend the team, but they would get rid of some of the people in there. Some of them would get fined or something. Fines are what usually happen in these situations. But I think with how young the team, on top of that, look at all the stupid the managers and stuff. They're all like in their 20s. Like, they're all 20, little bunch of kids, dude.
You know what Sven said on the crackdown? He said when Reginald came into the team to try and reprimand them, do you know what he said Reginald did? Reginald literally was coaching the team pretty much by what he said, like paraphrasing, obviously. And then the other coaches were watching him do that, just sitting there.
Remember what happened to Renegades and what happened to them? The reason for that was, what was it? One of the investors, it was more so a financial... Like
Monty thing, right?
It wasn't Monty. Monty didn't do it. It's about the team itself was straight up like it's not the same level as what happened here. Like, I agree that both things that happened were mistakes, but I don't put them in the same tier.
Oh my god. Remember, I don't know if you remember the story. Remember at some point, like, Fnatic owed G2 money, and if they didn't pay it back, that G2 owner at that current point in time, it wasn't Ocelot, it was his dad, because he gave him the loan, and then later on, Ocelot got it. G2 could have owned Fnatic. No one remembers that. I remember that. I remember that very, very clear. Fnatic almost were bought by G2. The crazy things I remember about this league, guys. So when people say G2's a bunch of jerks, you wouldn't have your spot in EU anymore if it wasn't G2. So you should probably calm your asses down a little bit there. You wouldn't be in EU anymore without G2.
Illegal for a person to own two teams, correct?
So you know what Riot did? Riot said the loan didn't exist. You cannot do that. So they settled it. They settled it outside of court. They just took care of it basically off screen.
I'm saying, what do you think would be the case? What do you think would have happened if Riot allowed them to let this go? Do you think G2 would have just had Fnatic too?
I mean,
you can't have two teams that's literally specifically against the LCS code.
I understand that, but you can't Riot just can't say to G2, hey, they owe you money, but now they don't owe you money. Like, that's also illegal.
You can't reward them the team.
You're in this like lose-lose situation there.
G2 cannot be rewarded the team because no one's allowed to own two teams at once, and you can't have any shares in the other team. They couldn't take percentages of the teams because that's also illegal.
But Fnatic also owe them money. So what about the money if Fnatic owe G2 then?
You think they just get the team because they get to ignore the rules because they owe money? Like, it doesn't matter what the situation is. The rules don't change in that aspect. Like, I don't like Fnatic's system very well. I don't like many systems in the league, but it's just not possible to make happen. They literally just either get fined or they would have to force one of them to step down, but that's all they could do.
I remember so many stories. Remember the story about the Chinese owners owning multiple teams in the LPL?
I mean, it was legal back in the day, but at the same time, you're talking about when it was illegal.
Yeah, but to be fair, it wasn't franchise. That kind of doesn't that's like
franchising is when it starts mattering because that's when there's a lot more at stake with the advertising, and that's why it was a big deal. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like if there's gonna be corruption no, I'm not saying that.
All right, so I'm pretty sure we are rounding down on the time. My God, yeah, some of these hot takes and stuff on like Hotline League are horrible. This like girl came on saying that TSM was gonna be fourth and gave no reason other than like, oh, Spica's trash, Dara good. Like, what do you like? That's not even a take. You're not even giving a reason.
That's what I say, but just in less words. That's exactly.
Let's give Spica a chance.
I already gave Spica a chance, but I think doubles can be the difference maker here. Giving people chances when you can see the potential in them is still stupid. I wouldn't pick up somebody who played like that they did that previous season. Like, would you give Spica a chance? It was like Like if you have to pick out a junglers, you pick up Spica.
I think people were upset with Ryoma because Demonte and Pobelter were available. That's also true, but it's not anything. It's just me just browsing through Reddit. Reddit's a bunch of losers. Holy crap. TSM is the jungler dampener. Somehow they make every jungler worse consistently ever since like 2016.
You're reading this from
Reddit.
I agree with that. The Cloud9 is literally the only team that might have a chance internationally. Everybody else is going to get trashed, and that's just.
I mean, to be fair, they've always did well internationally for North America. That's not nothing new.
I think the thing about it is, previously, I don't think Cloud9 was really internationally capable. I think this is the first year that I've actually thought, man, this team can actually might be able to do something.
The thing with people and why they got mad at Cloud9 is just that people knew there was a ticking time bomb on them. Like, they did have the weaker players in most positions. So at some point, that is going to expose you. But, I think this year they could have had a chance to win MSI 2020 if it happened. I think they really had a good shot at doing it. I think
they would have struggled so much against the Chinese teams.
I mean, you only had one. You only had JDG. And JDG lost to them. I mean, we don't know that. JDG literally lost to Dragon X.
I told you why Dragon X beat them, like that specific day, and I told you that was going to happen.
Okay, so it's on specific days, I could just say Cloud9 could beat JDG then by that logic. I literally
told you, and it's exactly why they beat. The reason I don't think Cloud9 could do it is because they don't have the caliber players.
You never know how draft can fare. Cloud9 Reaper could outdraft any coach in the LCK.
Yeah, so the reason I'll tell you right now, the reason as to why Dragon X was able to beat them is because JDG plays definitely tries to force into late game, and they have the players' caliber to be able to stall out until the late game. But the problem with that is the fact that the ADC is the most important role inside of a team fight late game. And the different, like if you try and stall out against Dragon X, who wants to stall out until late game, you're going to get a team that has substantially better ADC than you, is going to be completely taking over the game at that point. And that's just exactly what happened. They don't play fast paced in the early game.
I think C9's bot lane is better though. I think Sven and Vulcan are better than Loken and Yuyanji. Is that his name? No, it's Lamau.
I thought you were talking about Deft and.
No. I was talking about JDG. I said JDG.
Possibly, but that's not.
I think Niski could match Yigao. I think Niski on a good day could match Yigao. If Doinby can do it and Doinby's weaker than Yigao, I think Niski could do it.
Niski is not. I mean, Niski is a worse version of Doinby though. Again, in every aspect.
But if Doinby can beat Yigao, then I don't think the worst version would struggle that much against him though.
I think my big thing about it, first of all,
is Zoom. Zoom would beat Licorice.
Deft and Loken, and the difference between Sven and Loken is not nearly as big. As to why he was able to succeed, and on top of the fact that like Chovy can match up against Yigao pretty well, have so many good aspects in that team. Like Cloud9 doesn't have the caliber of players that Dragon X does, and they're going to rely mostly on their early game presence to be able to beat them. And I think it's possible, but they do have a faster paced playstyle than both of those teams. But at the same time, they don't have the players to match up. And they like, what's it called? JG is very much used to stalling out fast-paced teams because they play in China. At the same time, Cloud9 is not used to playing people of their caliber. So I think they would not. I don't think they'd ever win a game against them, like in a best of 10. Maybe it would.
What is this? Demonte is too nice to say that he got cut for frogging because of branding. The kid played against Faker in a Worlds Tournament series in Modern League of Legends and almost took a game off him. That's a lie. They were never close to ever taking games off SKT. What? What did I? That's the what though? I have to reply to that. I'm sorry. What the hell are you smoking? They were not close to ever beating SKT. What actual crack are you on? What the hell did I just read? Demonte got destroyed by Faker. What a reference the Akali game where he got absolutely murdered. Rising. Okay, yeah, whatever. What the heck? Caps could barely hold off Faker. There's no way Demonte was gonna do it. If Caps, the best Western mid laner, can't hold off Faker, how could Demonte do it? Like, logic? I don't know. The fuck am I reading? Oh my lord, people are dumb.
You changed yourself into a bad word person. What happened to you?
Guys, I don't want to be negative, Nancy, but Dignitas didn't win a single game during Worlds 2019. Why is this roster hyped? Good lord. What am I reading? Reddit is full of a cesspool of weirdos. We're not gonna have Avali May on the broadcast team. This
What is she on now? She did something.
She's gonna do her own thing.
I don't care. I mean, I really don't care that much for it. Like, I really didn't care about her that much. I'll be honest with you.
You're just because you don't like girls. That's just a proven fact.
No, it's like girls. I mean, she's just, bro. I mean, I really didn't care for her personality that much.
I mean, you don't know her personality. You only know it through videos. How do you know what her personality is?
No, I'm not saying she's a bad personality. I'm just saying, like, we didn't really get a glimpse of it. Like, literally, all she did was ask questions, and she didn't throw her unique taste on it.
I mean, I had a chance to talk to her. I think she's a great person, though.
She might be, but maybe not on a broadcast team. I didn't care that. I mean, it's not like she's bad. She's not unique.
How do you stand out as a unique interviewer? What do you want? Her to strip butt naked?
No.
You want her to strip?
What? Good interviews.
No, there's not. You're the NBA interviewer lady. I know what you're talking about. Literally, all she does is just ask questions. All interviews are the same. They ask questions. What do you want from them?
I think they're all generic. The women that you're talking about. The difference between that and the actual people I'm talking about is vastly different. You don't have to be good. That's always a good step in the right direction, to be fair.
If you have Kiwi Kid, oh my god, remember NRG, Quas, Santorin, OHQ, Kiwi Kid?
I'm gonna point out, I thought OHQ was pretty solid for a little bit. I don't want to pretend that he was bad.
Who was their mid laner? Oh, GBM. Oh my lord.
GBM was really good for the first split he came over.
Yeah, he was actually. He was actually
maybe the best mid laner that split, and then just not anymore. Like,
and then he became
for a little bit, and then they had Kiwi Kid.
And then Echo Fox had what? Froggen and Keith?
Think about this like this real quick. Core JJ was one of the worst ADCs NA has seen in a long time, and he played with Kiwi Kid, and he came over. It's like when Goku put on the weighted clothes against Tien, and he took them off and they crashed against the ground. Each one of those is Kiwi Kid. Each one of those things is Kiwi Kid, and that's why he became so good.
You know, Core JJ played in NA and once went over to Korea and then won World. So does that mean NA is unofficially world champion?
Yeah, I'm just gonna point that out. Like, there is success. Every ADC that has played with Kiwi Kid has found success. GVM became a manager. PewDiePie became one of the biggest streamers, and Core JJ won Worlds. There's literally no argument refuting that answer.
Kiwi Kid is the for this year. I think we should make up for Worlds coming up after the split is over. We should make up our own certain player award. So who do you think is a player that is always super hyped, but then always consistently flops at Worlds? Or like the modern era. So people had Dade. So some of the modern era.
Why do we have to change the name of it?
I want our own. No, I want it to be our own.
Why don't we just make a different type of award then? Why does it have to?
That's what I'm talking. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
No, you literally.
Why are you guys? He's literally getting angry at me. He's getting angry at me. I'm like, okay,
that's
yes.
Like trying to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and then changing the name to brown and purple sandwich and trying to think it's your own unique thing, but you're just changing the name because you're not actually clever enough to come up. If you want to make it,
you've literally named anything in existence. So thank you, Mr. Philosopher.
The Double Lift Award. Okay, that is actually true. Double Lift flops.
I like that one. I want to call it that one. Oh, that's cool though. We'll call it the Double Lift Trophy.
No.
Stop. All right, no, because every single time I do this, I say an idea. He's like, "No, it doesn't work." Yeah. And then I ask him, "What's your idea?" He says nothing.
We could see the thing about this. The good thing about this is because Worlds doesn't happen yet. We could think of stuff. We have so much time. You don't have to think of it on the spot.
I know. I'm just telling you the idea. Why are you yelling at me?
I'm just saying. I'm not trying to be mean, but your idea sucked.
I was like, every single idea I've had, I ran it through him. He's like, no, they're not good. I put on this channel, they all work out.
I've never said anything bad about your stuff. I'm just saying it was not my taste, and that's why I didn't do it.
We are successful, so thank you very much. You're famous now.
I'm not famous.
Oh, you will be. Oh, you will be. I'll make you famous.
I don't really care about being famous, but
All right, so you could literally call the double award. I mean, I know because I think the Dade Award is their thing, and Dade is from a past era where people haven't really. You would literally have to go back and watch why Dade was overhyped.
Wow.
And
4 or 5 years ago,
the Caps Award
Caps literally doesn't underperform though. He's
or
literally
Reckless though.
better ADCs. And Reckless doesn't underperform either. Reckless actually plays well at Worlds usually.
What the? You said Reckless is not internationally capable. You liar! You literally said that yesterday.
Do not think he is, but I think he's played well for what he's shown. Like remember,
Okay.
look at the he put literally season
hearing?
8 CS Fnatic on his back.
Oh my lord.
Like
What award could we make it though? What's a player recently that was super hyped going into Worlds and they
why do we
failed?
have to do that specific award? Like why don't we make something else?
Then
Like
since you're all the full ideas, you pick something then.
well, but I think thinking of it on the spot forces you into worst idea. That's why you got to think about it in a long, extended. Just like put up a poll or something and say, hey, come up with ideas of what we can make of things. I think someone from Griffin. I mean, no one from. No, you know what? No, Tarzan played really well at Worlds for a little bit.
I thought he played great. Thought he played great, honestly.
It's when it came to the into the playoffs.
When they faced IG, they got exposed really hard.
They
Holy
get
crap!
exposed, like,
Yeah, they
literally.
did.
I want to point out a few things that happened. First of all, I think that they were
The
not
Griffin Award. The Griffin Award sounds cool.
I don't know, man. You really want to make it a thing where it's just like
They did always choke though.
Just saying,
It always.
you would sing an old reward rehashed into a new name.
Okay, so what do you want to call it then? Give me an idea of what you.
I'm not saying a different name.
Okay, then give me one then.
I don't have it. See, you're cracking out on me right now.
Oh my god.
I think you should put this on the thing. Maybe have your own award show, but just make up different types of awards, and then there you go. Like it doesn't.
We'll have it.
Sword
World's
biggest destroyed world. I don't want to blame Sword as a person because there's so many sides to the story, and
There's so many. I don't even want to go over that right now. Holy crap!
everyone's taking the side of the more successful people, the people they like more. And I mean, there's like 4 different people who are on Sword's side. Yet everybody, like, there's bad people in this. Like, and honestly, if I was in Sword's position and somebody preferred me, I'd probably like them better too.
We should call it Way of Life Esports League of Legends Awards.
I want to point out CV Max was in the wrong of how he treated Sword, and I don't disagree with that in the slightest.
Yeah, I'm not agreeing with that. I'm not agreeing with that at all. 100%.
And he was not. He might be a good manager, but he's not mentally
Stable.
No, not mentally unstable. He's just not mentally a manager, and that's the big difference.
Mhm.
He has
But
the abilities of what to do as a manager, and that's the reason he's succeeding.
We haven't heard anything out of him from Dragon X though.
Doesn't matter. I mean, he's gotten rid of what he thinks are the bad players, and he's probably going to do it to Doran soon because Doran's being trash.
Or Yosik. You sure Yosik isn't gonna go first?
Who knows? Well, somebody. I'm just saying that was not the way you act. That was not the way you act as a manager. You should have handled it a little bit differently instead of just sitting there bad mouthing him. No one. It's just not meant to be talking about you. Where are we at now? We talked about you. We went through our power rankings, and then we kind of transitioned into just small talk.
Yeah, we're about to head out of here in like 20 minutes. I'm not tired at all. I mean, I'm all good personally. I don't have to work tomorrow.
That's the way it works. Like, I mean, we did what the title specified. We
did it for the first 2 hours.
Yeah, I think, like, again, I understand what you're saying. It was like an EU-centric podcast. It was supposed to be, at least, but like,
we literally did it for 2 hours though. That's a good chunk of the whole thing though. Just saying. I don't know what we could call it. We could call it Way of Life Esports League of Legends awards for whatever year. Most improved player. No, we had the thing where I didn't do it last year. Remember, most improved player. He didn't. Oh my god, it was you. We were gonna do an award. We were gonna worst player, and he didn't want to put it on a single player. I was like, that's how you do it. You know, I don't make the rules. It's just like,
I don't think this happened. I think we just never got around to actually doing it.
No, because I
players. I mean, I'll straight up point out Blabber on Cloud9.
I came up to your house and we were gonna make most improved. We never did that, and I had the other one of saying top 5 worst players going into the split.
My socks, and I had to kick you out, dude. You creep.
Oh my goodness. I came over to his house, guys, and his socks were crunchy.
I think socks work, man.
But yeah, I don't know why people think EU is better than LCK. I mean, yeah, the LCK has looked weaker, but you put any of those top 3 LEC teams into that midseason cup against the top 3 LCK teams, I'm pretty sure they're still not doing anything.
Who?
Besides G2, I think
I genuinely I still agree with that. Most impressive wildcard award. I think that is actually not a bad one. I think that wildcard tendency, usually there's one team that stands out pretty drastically in either the way they approach the game, like what is it called? What was that team called? Gigabyte Marines. Gigabyte Marines took a very drastic change in how they approached the game. They did really weird comps, and they didn't have the
weird
against the
oh my god.
but they 100% had the aggressive play style and the weird picks where it really only could be exposed in a best of 5 because you could never really understand what to expect from them. Like, I think there's always something unique, and I genuinely think the wild cards always entertain me every single. I've never had one year where I thought, man, all of these wild cards. There's always at least one fun.
We could do most improved player. And we could do the least, and we could do the least impactful player, but it's kind of like the worst player, but we'll call it the least impactful player. Because we had 5 players who were gonna flop, or a player that completely flopped going into the split, something like that. Oh, Nick, Nick, you know what's weird? You said, remember how UL nearly eliminated Splice, and then Splice then got out of groups? Remember, Splice also stopped URL from going to Worlds back in 2016. Splice was Unicorns of Love's kryptonite. It's crazy, right? Yeah, I remember. Unicorns of Love almost beat Splice. Splice had such an easy group, man. Like, I'm not even gonna. It's not salty. It's just they have a shit group.
I always dislike talking about teams about having an easy group because again, that's the flaw inside of the picking portion of it itself. I think it's one of the most unnecessary. I don't know how you'd fix it, but to be fair, Clutch Gaming. I don't know, Clutch Gaming. It's like saying, yeah, I 3-0'd Renegades. Good stuff, man, but that's not very impressive. I think they get it because it's NA versus EU, but it's not really impressive because EU is better than NA. It's just the reality of it. Cloud9 is. We always have maybe one team that we send that's pretty impressive, pretty okay, and then the rest of the teams are always terrible. We've never sent 2 good teams to Worlds, and that's the most embarrassing thing. I think the problem is, I think there's a few things that I don't know. Is Nick from EU?
Nick, who the fuck is that? Oh my friend. Oh my god, I'm sorry, Nick.
You knew him.
I'm sorry. Holy crap. I literally was looking at something. I'm so sorry. I was looking at something completely different.
You've really been saying Nick this entire time, and all of a sudden, who is Nick? I'm not sure what to say now.
I'm so sorry, Nick. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so I think the big thing about it, first of all, I think the way consistent pro gaming and all that stuff is perceived in NA is not nearly as well received. It's not socially acceptable to play video games as often as it is in EU and stuff. From my general knowledge of what I've talked to the people there, we don't see it on TV or any of that stuff. Pro players are not common knowledge in the slightest. Unless you're really just a big nerd like us, you have no idea what any of that stuff. And I think that's the big reason why a lot of these EU teams are a lot better, because they genuinely emphasize it's a lot less a lot more normalized. You get a lot more variety in the type of people that come into the scene. And on top of the fact, Denmark, Denmark, they give you the ability to go back to college at any point in time for free. So it's you really don't put your life on. You can put your life on hold and try it out, and if it doesn't work out, you lose nothing for it. And it's just not the same in the NA. On top of the fact, you guys literally have 60 different countries in there and a million different people to play with, and we have us. We're the only country that matters in the NA scene. As much as I don't want to say that, it really isn't, except it's called e-gaming and isn't considered a full job, and that's why so many of these issues exists. I agree with that. It's not as a whole EU, obviously. There's a lot more countries that I could see it happening. But like the main countries where most of the game, like the professional gamers come out, like Denmark and all that stuff, I think it's. I'm not going to say it is because I don't know myself. I've talked to a lot of people online. Like when I used to play back in the day, I always used to stay up all night and play with like I had a Denmark duo partner back in the day, and he was very serious, and I couldn't play with him. But I think that was the big reason as to why my perception is like it's a little more accepted because it's just like it seemed like the tone at which he talked about it was different than what I would expect from what I thought about it. I don't know. I mean, it's not. I think that is a few of the things that a few of the reasons as to why I think that the EU seems more developed. On top of the fact, again, you guys just genuinely have a bigger player base. Like NA is.
It's not only that they have better developed smaller leagues, which better develop the players, which have better infrastructure.
Just think about it. They have so many more players, and that's why they're able to develop so many leagues. It's not like the best, so many talent. Yeah, again, and it's because of their ability to flex into going back into the what's it called? They can devote so much time to it because they lose nothing for it because the college again. That's the biggest. Again, it's again. I don't know for a fact. I'm basing it off what people told me, but it's they have the ability to go back to college at any point in time, so they risk nothing from doing this. There's more Danes in the semifinals than Koreans. Well, that literally is because like Korea didn't make the finals. Besides,
that's true. You are right about that, Mr. Nick. You are correct.
Like it was literally Korea made no finals, and you made 2 of them. Yet Korea was still relevant in the finals because there were so many regions importing Koreans, and they succeeded with them. Like if you even think about it, there's no team since season 2 that hasn't had a Korean on it that's won Worlds. You can't. It's been the successful. Like one of the biggest keys is
the first player to ever win Worlds for China was a Korean player.
Oh, it was 2 Korean players. It was Shy and Rookie.
My God, for top laners because I love top lane. Because that's my favorite role in the game. Either you're the Shy in 28-18 peak form, or you're someone like Sword.
You're like the Shy in now.
He just is literally running it down. I don't even know what. I'm so sad, dude. He just every game runs it down, or he plays like Lucian or Vayne, and then he carries the game. It's like there's no balance to this guy anymore. He's just a crackhead, or he's like ruined. Like he's still insanely mechanically strong. You know that. You can see it. It's just like why is he playing this bad? There's no excuse for that.
I mean, he played really well sometimes too. It's just inconsistencies are more prevalent now.
He only did that on the ADC picks, though. He only did that on the ADC picks this past recent split. The Vaynes, the Lucians,
No, it's not the only games he popped off on. I can point out a few just genuinely top lane picks that he popped off on.
But it's
not as consistent as it was before. I mean, like literally in 2018, he didn't lose laning phases almost ever.
He had some insane win rate, though. He won like 50 out of like 40. Like, oh my lord, his use is insane.
The spring split came back in summer, wasn't as good, and then bounced back at Worlds and destroyed everybody.
This player can be so bad, yet he's still better than half his competition. How is that not like one of the best top laners ever? Like that's crazy.
I don't think he could beat my Fiora, but like he's a pretty solid player himself.
Like Khan is comparable to the Shy. Khan was giving it to him this last pass.
Khan has been one of the most impressive top laners in the world recently. Like he's genuinely better than he was on SKT right now.
That's really weird though.
But it benefits his playstyle more, dude. Aggressive laners are always going to benefit more in China, and that's just the reality of how it works in China. China is so willing to let soul laners be good, and that's just what it is, and that's why.
No, I think they have star players, and they play around their star players, and that's their style.
Their style is hyper aggressive play, and it allows
around the star player.
It doesn't force them to play around the team, and they get to play around themselves, and then transition how they feel like into the team. Korea has a set played out style plan that they're going to the team's going to play around. And if it doesn't actually function that way, like if the top laner doesn't play that way, they're not on the team anymore, no matter how good they are. That's the reason China lets solo laners do their stuff, because they have some input that the coaches do, but at the same time, The PCS is the combination of Taiwan and all that stuff. I'm kind of excited.
PCS is just basically LMS but franchised. That's kind of what it is.
They have a few other regions. Didn't they get Did they put Vietnam in there too?
No, VCS is still its own thing.
Okay, I'm trying to remember.
PCS is just a combination. PCS is just basically LMS, just franchised.
No, they put other regions in there. I remember there was other regions put into it.
There were other teams. No. Everything is still LMS. It's still Taiwan. It's just Southeast Asia plus LMS.
Yeah, I'm saying it's all the Southeast Asian teams. Wait, is that not Vietnam?
No, Vietnam is VCS.
I'm saying they're definitely. I guess
he's trolling me, guys. He's trolling us here. I swear.
Tell me what Vietnam is, and then I'll take it back. How about that?
Gigabyte Marines, Phong Vu Buffalo.
Look at the map and tell me where Vietnam is. And when you look at the map, tell me that they're not part of this region. I'll accept it.
I'm just saying they're not considered part of like in the League of Legends realm.
Asia, I was like, oh, they're. You know what? Maybe I'm gonna look at the map just so I know I'm not crazy.
Maybe you're crazy. Maybe.
Look at this. Look at this. Yeah, the first thing that pops up is Vietnam.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Now they're not part of Southeast Asia.
I don't know. Maybe it's a border thing.
Southeast Asian country.
It has to be a border thing.
It's not. They're literally. It's like what's it called?
Singapore,
Indonesia, and then Vietnam. Like that is the countries.
I think someone explained to me it's based off territory. They you might see them next to each other, but that doesn't mean like they're directly part of each other.
Asia, the first thing that pops up is Vietnam every single time. Vietnam and Indonesia, like it doesn't make sense.
Or maybe Nick is right. Maybe Riot is just crazy.
It's literally just crazy. I realize this now because there's always been two different reasons of Southeast Asia and Vietnam. I just don't know why. There's absolutely like just think about it. If Vietnam was combined into this region, they'd be so good. It would literally be so much better. They'd probably be better than any. You combine all of these regions. I think so. I think there's been so many solid players out of Taiwan. There's been so many solid players out of Vietnam. The only thing I really think, and they have so many unique play styles. I genuinely think they could do really good at Worlds if they combine themselves. Vietnam being a separate region, because I remember they have their own slot at Worlds now. I don't even know why I forgot about that. They had two teams at Worlds. It's just dumb. It's stupid. And they should be one region. It's dumb.
The only reason why NA is a major reason because we literally created the game. That's pretty much the only reason why.
It's always been like the fourth to fifth best region. Like Taiwan was the fourth best for a while. I mean, they won Worlds and then they slowly downgraded from there. Like NA has always been up there. They just like they've always been substantially better than the wildcards. Yeah, we've always been substantial. We're not a wildcard region, but at the same time, like we're not as good as the rest of the major regions.
We're good enough. We're literally a gatekeeper region. That's what we are. We are a gatekeeper region. Holy crap, we are fucking trash. And I even told people where like we have bad rosters this split because literally most of the rosters they constructed are horrible. If you actually look at them, not even based off gameplay, most of those rosters are complete crap.
Oh, my neck. I hurt my neck earlier. It's now hurts. It's just hurt still.
Do you like sex with girls?
I wouldn't know.
Oh yeah, because you're a something.
You make it sound different than what I was trying to.
Okay, guys. About to head out of here in like 5 minutes. I'll do like 5 more minutes longer, and then say whatever you want, do whatever you want. Tomorrow, if we have free time, we'll do the LCS power rankings. I'll probably have to contact you. I don't know how long he's staying up though. I'm pretty sure he's going to bed after this, right? Yeah. So we'll do our power rankings for NA tomorrow. If he doesn't do them, then I'll just do them solo, and then I'm always right anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
I want to go back to the things and count who is more right for these past years.
What are we talking about? Why do we gotta do that?
I don't know if I was more right. I feel like I was, but I mean, I was really wrong about some of the teams is the thing, so I feel like that offset it.
This man went off either blind faith or he really trusted those players back in the day. Holy crap.
I've put ceiling over actual compatibility, and that was my biggest problem. Like, I thought this team if everything works in every single way, they're going to work out. And that's
If everything works, that's like saying if I went outside and gained superpowers, everything would be so much better.
because what else do you go off besides roster? And you know what? I'm never going to stop doing that. I'm always going to consistently do that because I don't have anything else. If I don't have anything else to judge off it, I'll just say who is the best teams.
I'm the opposite. I always did it off compatibility. Like if the play styles complement each other, if I can't see one player working out with another, then I'm not going to pair them up.
I don't know personalities enough inside of the
not personality. Sorry, play style. Like you can see their play style and go like, man, that's probably not going to work.
Not done that. I mean, I just say literally all these players, if they play to their play style perfectly, are going to be the best team in the world. And,
yeah, thank you, Nick. If Forgiven works with them,
I'm not going to pretend I did not hype up this Schalke team.
I had them at 5th place.
I think I had them higher.
What?
I was like, oh my god.
Why?
I mean, they had good team.
They had good enough players.
They had good players, a lot of good players. It's on paper before the season started.
Dreams, Otawamne, Gilius, Abadage.
Abadage drastically improved at the end of summer split.
Not really, but
Did.
Okay.
I think he had him at 2nd or 3rd. I'm very upset you remember that.
He had Schalke. Really? I told him Schalke was not going to be that good. I said they're a gatekeeper team like Splice was. I said they have.
Is the fact that when it works in his favor, it's never going to go. It's always going to be in the back of his mind. But when he messes stuff up, it just kind of never gets.
I told him. Forgiven is not going to be that player again.
I'm going to bring. You want to know the worst prediction you ever made? Sneaky was the second best ADC.
At where?
In your ADC ranking videos, you know where I put him at? 8th. And you called me crazy. You said this is not bad.
We're talking that was made for spring. Trying to change the narrative. What are you talking about?
That was pretty much the entire year though. And the reason I had it was because of the previous years, and I put him at 8th. Forgiven does now.
He's always been the second best ADC. What are you talking about? Like, who else was always better? You're gonna say Piglet, but like
better than him pretty much every year.
He was, or even if not top 2, he was always a top 4 ADC. It was just this last year.
I only attest to how bad the region is, and second of all, that's not true.
You're saying he wasn't always top 4?
No, I don't think so.
You just don't like Sneaky. That's just
I don't like Sneaky, and that's the reason I put him at 8th, and you put him at 2nd.
Yeah, I don't like some guys. The reason why you put him at 8th. What great power ranking power you got?
I based it off his play, man. That's all I did.
Oh my lord. He's always, for me, and for a lot of other people, been consistently the 4th or top 4 ADC. Like, I don't think there's...
For sure. I mean, who's this competition? Dyrus? Like, what other
competition? Is Sneaky in top lane? What?
I'm just saying, like, who is this competition for cosplaying? What kind of professional player is known for that? I think Bjergsen, ever since he grew that beard out, he's not gonna win that.
Oh my god, the TV show. Do you know, based off the whole police brutality thing, they canceled the show Cops.
I don't wanna.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Yeah, I forgot they had a show called Cops. I forgot about that.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? Yeah, I don't think that is very well received right now, to be fair.
Do you like me?
I don't know.
But yeah, Sneaky, I don't think he's gonna be playing anymore. I mean, he was always consistent, like a top 4 ADC in the region, and he got what he wanted. High placing at Worlds, he won a couple splits. He did well internationally. I mean, what else more do you want from him, really? Like he's done his job. Like it's time's over.
He did well internationally.
He did well internationally to a certain extent. I mean,
I would like to know that extent because I think that's a very low bar to meet, isn't it?
He always did better than Double at Worlds. You can't deny that.
I'll deny that, but that's not a bar at all. It's literally like
Worlds. What else do you want? Worlds, the biggest event.
He was always a ADC that relied mostly on his team fighting prowess, and there was a lot of ADCs that outmatched him in that. Like
that's by your own admissions. ADCs need their supports, sir.
The problem is that he has poor CSing on top of the fact that he doesn't usually trade consistently. like ADCs are not the definitive laning phase thing, but he was very bad at it. I think with a good support, he still would have probably not done much with his lead in the mid game. That's what defines the early game ADCs usually. Early game for an ADC is mid game. His laning phase also was trash though. I'm like he just genuinely got out CS usually. I'm not against Sneaky. I think Sneaky is a cool guy.
I think he's a fine player. I think Double is saying that his laning phase was not that good. Started a trend of people thinking that he's bad when that was never pointed up.
Double literally is like he's the biggest trash talker on the planet, but he's not man enough to commit to trash talking. He'll always pretend that it means something else in reality. We know what he's actually going for. That's my least favorite thing about Double It is like if you're gonna try and be a trash talking dude and try and pretend to be blunt, you gotta commit to it. He always wimps out and be like, "Oh no, but I mean it like this." No, dude, you know what you meant by that. I hate that. I hate people who do that. I hate you. You're just kind of staring at me.
After 30 years, Cops reality show is canceled.
Oh my God. Why are you doing this?
People are soft nowadays. Holy crap.
I'm not talking about this at all.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I think people gave Sneaky a hard time because Zazel was weak. Double If pointed out something that, really didn't matter, though. Like, his laning phase is weak, yeah, but I could name you thousands upon thousands of players who had way worse laning phases than Sneaky. Ruined.
This man doesn't have the capabilities to focus on one thing. He'll literally just zone out and start thinking about something else halfway through.
I'm literally looking at porn right now, so you don't want to see that.
I don't see you.
But yeah, almost done here. We'll go to about a solid 3 hours, having some fun.
Artex. Dude, that's the ultimate laning phase player right there. That is somebody I think Sneaky could beat in lane right there.
Yeah, like remember Vardax? Holy crap. God damn.
I'm not convinced he did not play with those rolling mouse things that they had in StarCraft. That's what I think Vardax.
Oh, those big giant mouses with those rollers? Those are horrible.
Balls, the mouse ball things. Whatever.
Yeah, mouse balls. Are you sure your balls don't hang like this? Oh, let me see how you do it. Like this?
What are you doing, man?
Are you sure your balls don't hang like that?
What's up? You did, and I still don't understand it.
Oh my god. I was making a sack, you incompetent toe.
I'm not talking about this with you, man.
Why? Yeah. I don't know. A lot of people wanted TL Sneaky, though. I was like, Steve doesn't see him as successful. Why would he get him?
I think the people here starting to get insane. Yeah, he's probably super tired, and he started talking about my genitals. I did not appreciate that too much.
Oh my lord, you guys are crazy. But hey Nick, thank you for being a part. You were here the whole time. Thank you, man. Thank you.
I don't know why were we talking about that? Was interesting.
Sorry to all the EU fans that are gonna watch this VOD. It's really hard to talk about. It's not hard to talk about EU. It's just like half the teams are so bad, and like there's like 6 that are good, and then like they all have tiers. So like you have like usually 4 teams competing for 10th. Then you have Excel, who is their own tier of shit, and then you have like the tier of Misfits and Rogue.
I think you're underestimating Excel. I think they're a pretty solid team.
Like, but Excel are in their own tier though. That's the thing.
Right now, Excel would come over here. It would beat the bottom 5 teams for sure.
That's great. What is that doing for my? What the?
Honestly, they would have a good chance against 8 teams in NA. For sure. That's the 5th or 6th place, or the 7th place team in EU. That's saying something, man. Not be able to be stopped by them.
Excel are just bad in their own right, and you have Rogue and Misfits who are like, their own tier. Then Origin is in their own tier, and then you have Fnatic is in their own specific tier. Then it's just G2. Like, how's that even close to balance?
I mean, we literally took 2 hours to make the power rankings. I'm just saying he's talking about the rest of the video was like you talking about weird stuff and you're talking about probably May halfway.
I met her. I think she's a great person. I think a lot of people get like I don't judge someone's personality off content. Like that's just so
She has a
stupid.
bad personality. I just said I'm not interested in what she showed.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But you can laugh at me. What the heck? Oh my god. That should there be a dating app for League players? No. Holy crap, no. I just told her no. Just stop.
If I don't showcase my league skills, that's the way I pick up ladies, and that's why I've been single because I'm still stuck diamond, so it doesn't matter too much. I've not made it anywhere this season, man. You're not learning how to end this stream. I'm assuming that's what's going on here.
Oh my lord. Oh yeah. Let me get up. I'm older. I'm so old, guys. Holy crap. I'm a boomer at this point. So, thank you guys for watching. It meant so much to have all you guys here. Me, you, and the 7 people watching, the lurkers. Shout outs to the guys who are lurking but still want to support the channel. Thank you so much for being here. The lurkers who have not commented at all, but I thank you and enjoy having you. So, Nick, thank you for being here. Tomorrow should be when we'll do our LCS power rankings. If not, I'll just do it myself. I'm always going to be right anyway, so that's how it's going to work usually. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh my lord, why did I forget this? The special video comes out tomorrow. Of me talking with that person in the esports scene actually comes out tomorrow, I think around 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. or something like that. And then you have the LOL podcast where it's the podcast guys power rankings. So you get double podcast tomorrow. You guys are so spoiled with how much I treat you guys.
2 podcasts, but 1 of quality.
What are you talking about? What?
Ours is not the quality one. I'm saying.
Just throw a little shade. Holy crap!
We talked about like weird stuff at the end of this. There's like 3 hours of us just talking about weird man.
All right, see you guys later. Have a good day. Peace out. Nightwing, Wave of Esports is signing out. Goodbye. In broadcast, ma'am.